This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Like who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live here on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast presented by MyBookie. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, King of Banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
How are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. We were discussing before the show started that this is the first day ever in history that the NFL, MLB, NBA, WNBA, MLS, and NHL will play on the same day. And there's a Voice of Wrestling Flagship podcast streaming live. It's just unbelievable what's going on today. All the big hitters are out.
Why would anyone name the WNBA and MLS in that?
I think maybe just to get just to round it out, just get some facts in there, get an extra league in there. But and they kind of worked themselves into a shoot. This is ESPN, via Elias Sports Bureau, who always has everything. I'd love to work for.
Yeah, but nobody cares about the WNBA and the MLS.
Well, that's what I was saying though. Is they worked themselves into a shoot there, because when you include like a bunch of other ancillary leagues or whatnot, like unfortunately the WNBA and the MLS, that you have the NASCAR Gander Trucks RV and Outdoor Series that said, "Hey, wait a minute, we are also we're racing today too." So you've opened the door to every little rinky-dink minor league. There's probably some independent league that's in these mentions too, and each one of them falling over each other to say, hey, the Frontier League's playing a game today, so why aren't we included? You know what I mean? So
I played fetch with my dog in the backyard. Does that count too?
I included the Voice Wrestling Flagship podcast streaming live here.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Voice of Wrestling right now. So
see, I'm more interested to know if this is the first day that the four major sports all played on the same day. Now, there has to be some day in like October where that was the case, right? Because are we counting?
Yeah.
Are we? Is it only? Does it have to be regular season and or playoff games? Because if it's preseason games, there's no question there's like a Sunday in October every year where there's a World Series game, NFL games obviously, and then NBA and NHL preseason, right? NHL might even start by October.
Yeah, usually. So the one issue is, and it's going to come when, like you said, the NBA probably not until like mid to late October. But if you're counting preseason games, then yes.
That's what I'm saying. NBA is playing preseason by October.
I want to say that this happened. I'll do a little bit of research. I want to say that this happened a few years ago because something delayed. So I think the NBA, it was last year or 2 years ago. When was Red Sox Astros? Was that was 2 years ago, right? World Series?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That might have been it, because I think the NBA was trying out a new schedule where they kind of lengthened the games a little bit. So I think they started maybe mid-October when they're usually late October. And I think the World Series did some obnoxious spreading out of games as well. I want to say that maybe that happened that year, if I remember correctly. Let me see if I could try to.
On a Sunday or a Thursday when the NFL would be playing. And then obviously NHL would be playing every day anyway.
Yeah, okay. So Thursday, I don't have the exact day here, but some Thursday Thursday in 2018 it looks like.
Okay. In that case, because that random Thursday in October 2018, the four major sports all played together in meaningful games, right? No preseason.
I think that's the case. Yeah, I believe it's all either regular season or playoff games.
All right. Well, then I apologize to the WNBA and the MLS, because then this day would be relevant, because now you're throwing in two more leagues. Because we already had a day where the other four played.
Yeah, it looks like October 28th. October 28th, 2018 was the sports equinox is what they call it. 5 leagues, 1 day. 5 leagues. Hold on a minute. What do we got here? So who do we include here? Oh, MLS. Get out of here. But we have MLB, NFL, NBA, NHL all playing on the same day, October 28th, 2018. So, and we included MLS in there too. So really all we needed was a WNBA and we got them. So great. Fantastic.
Right. So because of COVID and all the basketball well, yeah, WNBA usually plays in the summer, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So, okay. So we've got 6 today. See,
7.
You really
if
can't...
you can include the Gander Mountain RV and Outdoor Series, it is 7. So
nobody can. That's the equivalent of playing fetch with my dog in the backyard. Okay. So you really can't go any deeper than those 6. Okay. It's like, I would consider WNBA and MLS second tier. Okay. Would you put any other leagues on that second tier? Team sports now. I don't want to get into tennis and NASCAR and stuff like that. I wouldn't. I think it would be those 2 alone unless I'm forgetting something obvious.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of any.
There's no secondary football league I'd put on that
level.
Yeah,
no.
There's no other basketball league I'd put on. I'm not putting the NBA like D League on that level. I'm not doing that. There's no secondary baseball league, obviously. You're putting on that level. There's nothing for hockey. So you throw in the soccer, you throw in the women's basketball, they would be second tier. I think anything else would fall third tier or below. Because I don't think there's anything else on the level of WNBA and MLS that I could think of. So basically what I'm saying is today's the day. Any other days where they're adding like a 7th league, you're just getting silly. And it doesn't really matter. Like, what are you're going to throw in like the National Lacrosse League? No one cares.
That's what I said. Like when we're talking about actual leagues that have some relevance, and you sort of poo-pooed it at the beginning, but yeah, now that you think about it, it is like this is kind of it. This is like the best it'll ever be because you're always then adding like way more ancillary leagues. Like for whatever we think of MLS and WNBA or whatever, they are major professional sports leagues in some way. You can put them on a second tier of major sports leagues, but they definitely are. And you're absolutely right. Like nothing else is no minor league baseball, no independent baseball, no racing. I guess the only thing would be is if NASCAR was running a race this day, right? But you're trying to say team sports though, so we're excluding NASCAR, Indy, any sort of individualized tennis. You know, if something was, I mean, that would be awesome too. If there was like, well, tennis is the U.S. Open wrapped up, right? You're a tennis guy for a little bit, right?
No, I watch tennis. Yeah,
you're a betting tennis, yeah.
No, U.S. Open's going on right now.
Okay, so that's there you go. So that's another one you could add if you really wanted to.
You could throw that in. Yeah, U.S. Open's happening right now. It's a major.
And that's I was gonna say if it's like some dumb rinky-dink bullshit, tournament, yeah, maybe. But yeah, Wimbledon, U.S. Open. French Open, I don't know the other ones. I think those are the only 3 I know, so I'll just stop there.
There's one more. Come on.
Oh, what is it? What did I get? U.S. Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and oh man.
Just think countries, man.
I'm out.
Australian.
The Australian Open. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, the Australian
What's
Open.
the clay? What's the clay one?
That's the French.
That's the French Open, yeah. Hate that one.
You didn't know the Australian Open existed. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I think I just need those 3.
See, it's fun when like that one's running because I'm up in the middle of the night and it's live. So I it's like they run when like New Japan runs. So it could be like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh, I do know the Australian Open exists because I would remember waking up for like getting ready for school as a kid and, getting my bowl of cereal ready and turning on SportsCenter. And I'm like, the fuck what the hell is this? And it'd be like, SportsCenter's on ESPN News as we have ongoing coverage of the Australian Open. I'm like, fuck out of here. Get this shit off. Let's go. Throw this on ESPN News. Nobody gives a shit.
You're very angry.
I got to see who's maybe getting traded. I need John Clayton to tell me, who's got contracts coming up and stuff. So let's go. Move it on.
Why don't you sit down and enjoy, I guess, who would it have been then? Monica Seles or something?
It wasn't Monica. How old do you think I am?
You said you were a kid.
Yeah. I'm old. When was her prime?
How old are you? Like 35?
Yeah, right around there.
So Monica Seles was playing like 20 years ago? What do you mean? What's wrong with that comparison? Monica Seles is a good one.
When did she get stabbed? I kind of feel like her career was over after she got stabbed, but that's not true. I know. So
no. Who do you want as a Jim Courier? Who do you prefer?
Pete Sampras would be good.
Pete Sampras. There you go.
Well, Andre Agassi.
Agassi.
Federer. He was around forever. He's still around, right?
Of course, yeah. He's not playing the U.S. Open, though. No Federer, no Nadal.
Oh, Nadal, yeah, that's the other one I know, too.
Then Djokovic got DQ'd for hitting a ball.
I did see that. So. That was kind of awesome. So.
Wide open field,
I've done that before in rec league basketball, like, slam the ball down and it hits the referee in the back of the head. I'm like, oh, no, oh, God, I'm so sorry. I'm mad at myself, not you, I promise, but you know
who's gonna love the tennis talk? Alan Cunahan.
Right. I'm glad we're you know, hey,
Loves
hi, Alan.
the tennis. Do you remember Yannick Noah?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Joakim Noah's father. A prankster on the court, Rich. He was a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, he was. He was a prankster.
He was.
Yeah.
Chicago Bull. Famous Chicago Bull. I'm trying to think of who are the top women. I mean, it was honestly like Serena forever because she's been good for 25 years now at this point, right?
I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, Serena was probably good when you were...
what's her face? Kornikova, right? Or not? Yeah. No, not Kornikova. Yeah, she wasn't good, though. Who was the other one that was good?
There's a lot of good tennis players.
No.
Rich, you know
the one I'm talking about.
I'm telling you, when you were a kid, it was Monica Seles.
Maybe it was. There was the other one. What's her name? God.
Well, there's a lot of them. Lindsay Davenport?
It wasn't Lindsay. I know who Lindsay Davenport is, but it was. I guess I watched a lot of tennis when I was a kid. I know all these names that you're mentioning.
Look,
so.
you're mocking it, but you know
yeah, maybe I did just say, you know what? I'm going to watch some hot tennis action here. You know what? This is going to get me ready for my school day. Let's see if Seles can...
Lindsay Davenport was my favorite for a while. She was tall. She was like 6'2".
Yeah, I do remember that. I played a lot of the tennis video games, too. That's how I know all these people, too.
Oh, yeah. See, you're a fraud. You didn't watch Lindsay Davenport. You used her in like
virtual
a PlayStation.
Virtual
yeah,
tennis.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Monica Seles won her last major.
Maria Sharapova is the one I was thinking of.
Oh, Sharapova.
Yeah, you should have gotten that when I said, you know who I'm talking about, her.
She wasn't that good, though.
Wasn't? Okay.
Monica Seles won her last major in 96. How old were you in 96?
What the hell is that? Math here.
You were like 11. You were a kid.
9. No, I was 9.
So this is when you were annoyed.
I don't add years to my... I don't add years to you, Joe, and you don't add years to me. So.
Well, you're very mysterious about your age, so I just...
I'm not. You're mysterious. I was born in 1987. Not mysterious at all.
So if she won her last major when you were 9, she probably hung around a couple years. So Monica Seles was a tennis star when you were a child. Now Steffi Graf might be going back too far.
Yeah, right? I do know Steffi Graf, but I'm not. Yeah,
I think she was a little older than Seles. Graf. Graf. Okay, Graf.
Horrible way to start this show. What an ungodly way to start this show.
Graf retired in 99. Seles retired in 2008. Well, hold on, no. Caveat. Last match in 2000.
Oh, it trotted her out there. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, she stopped playing in 2003, but she didn't announce her retirement until 2008.
Oh, jeez.
Look, 2003 is well into your childhood. I mean, you're like a teen by then.
That's true, yeah.
So I just want to say that Monica Seles was accurate. Now, let's see Jim Courier, because now I have to prove
I don't know Jim Courier. I honestly don't even know
Courier.
if I was alive during any of his...
Redhead. Fiery player. Now, all right, he might be a little before your time. Well, he retired in 2000. He won all 4 majors.
Yeah, I don't remember ever seeing him, to be honest. Ever. But...
No, he did not win. He went to the finals in all 4 majors. He won Australia and France in the French. He was a finalist in the U.S. Open and Wimbledon. So he's a good player. Good player, Jim Courier. I know your guy. I know the guy of your childhood. The other American, because Courier is an American. The little guy. Little prick face American. What the hell was his name?
Prick face American.
Yeah, he just retired. He was a contemporary of what?
I'm gonna look up prick face American tennis player and see who comes up.
Yeah, his little prick face.
Not Jimmy Connors. That's who came up initially, I guess. So that's
my father's child.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know why Jimmy Connors came up first. I don't know. Yeah, you're gonna have to get this one from yourself. I don't know.
Oh man. Any help in the chat room?
No, they're a little bit behind. They were very helpful with the Maria Sharapova things though. So that must have.
Sharapova's just eye candy.
I thought that was the Kornikova thing. Was Sharapova also I hate?
Oh, Kornikova. No, I'm confusing them. My bad.
Yeah, Sharapova was good. Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people might get mad at you, because I think she was pretty good. But yeah, Kornikova was just like, look how hot she is. And it's like, is she any good? Well, who cares? Look how hot she is. She's in the magazine covers,
No. Hold on. Hold on. Let's get this right.
So we got a prick face male tennis player.
No, Maria Sharapova was the hot Russian, correct? She wasn't very good.
Well, I think they both were very attractive. One was like horrendous, and one was good but also hot.
Yeah, Sharapova won all 4.
Yeah, and she was good and hot.
You're talking about Kornikova. I'm so confused.
No,
right now.
I was talking about Sharapova initially, but I knew Kornikova off the top of my head, but I never saw her actually play tennis because I don't think she ever did.
Wait, never play? Of course she. What do you mean?
No, but every time, no, she was out in the first round all the time. She stunk.
I'm getting these Russians confused.
You are. I know Maria Sharapova. I know both of them.
Do you know who hates this tennis segment right now?
Everybody else. Everybody else but Alan? Oh, okay.
No, he hates it now too because we destroyed it. How about Caroline Wozniacki?
There it is. Yeah, there we go.
You like Wozniacki?
Yeah.
Kornikova. Yeah, Kornikova's the hot one that stinks.
Okay,
right?
so here's the two options we have from our chat room. Andy Murray or Andy Roddick?
Andy Roddick.
Yes.
Andy Murray's British, but Andy Roddick is your guy. He's the American tennis star of your youth, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. I remember him.
Roddick.
Yeah.
He's a little prick face.
Did he? Yeah. Whatever happened? He like fell off the face of the earth, right? Because
Andy Murray's British. He's still going. He lost. He was in the U.S. Open this year. Kornikova is the hot one that stunk.
Yes.
Just to get that straight. Sharapova was good.
Yes, but also somewhat attractive.
Oh yeah.
Both hot. One was good. One was horrendous.
Yeah. Kornikova's no good. Yeah. I saw her live at the U.S. Open. I used to go to U.S. Open all the time when I lived in New Jersey. Live tennis is great. You ever go to live tennis?
No, it doesn't come around here too often, so I have never been to live tennis, no. Other than high school tennis. I've covered high school tennis, but yeah, that's,
I mean real.
No, they don't come to Chicago, so.
Arthur Ashe Court. I'm talking.
I'm not swanky. I don't get that. I don't have Arthur Ashe Court in my backyard there like you do, so.
Well, not anymore. I don't.
No, Texas. There's not the Texas Open. There's not a.
No. I'd head out to Queens though for that U.S. Open. It's good stuff, man. You get the ticket to the Arthur Ashe Court, right? And here's how it would work: you buy the expensive ticket to the main court to see the stars, but that also gives you access to every other court on the grounds. So if you get a matchup you don't like on Ashe Court, you can just go to court number 1 or court number fucking whatever the fuck and go watch somebody you want to watch. So that ticket grants you entry. Nobody cares.
I appreciate it. Yeah, actually, a few years ago, I actually watched professional beach volleyball. That was awesome.
Karch Karai, right?
I don't know any of the names, but that's fine. Wilt Chamberlain, he played it once. But
Canyon Seaman, little tie-in.
What are you talking about?
The WWE,
Yeah, Canyon Seaman. Yeah, what's his name?
He's a professional volleyball player.
I did not know that. Okay, well there you go.
As I said, it's a tie-in.
Fantastic. Well, there you go.
They always have wacky names like that. Karch Karai, Canyon Seaman.
I thought you were just saying words. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Nah, you can't have a name like that and not be a professional volleyball player. That's like how it works. Like you're born into that, Like if you okay, so my brother's having another kid. He told me yesterday. He goes, "Hey, it's official. We're having a boy." I'm like, "Name him Ralph." I'm like, just to fuck with him. Like you don't have to call him Ralph. You can call him whatever you want. But name him Ralph so he has to go through life where every now and then when he's filling out paperwork or someone calls out his name, like the person that's with him who knows him is like, "Your name is Ralph?" You know what I mean? And then he's
that
like,
doesn't sound like a very good idea. Yeah, that's not.
I don't like to talk about. No, he might do it. He's
no,
that's not a bad idea.
Please don't do that.
It's like just to fuck with the kid, like name him Ralph. Like all his friends will know him as like Jimbo or whatever, but his real name is Ralph, and he has to like live with that shame that his name is Ralph.
Why would you do that to a child?
Because it's fun.
Okay.
What do you mean? Why?
This poor kid hasn't even been born yet, and you're already trolling him. That doesn't seem fair.
I mean, that's what's the point? You gotta fuck with him if you have him. So it toughens them up too. So it makes them lighthearted and fun when you mess with your kids. What was I talking about that for? Oh, the wacky volleyball.
Yes,
games, right?
yeah. But that as a live event sport is pretty awesome too. Because this one they just like propped up on a beach in Chicago, and then there was just like 7 different courts, and you just bounce between them all, and like, dude, the action's hot. Like, you go men, you go women, you bounce back and forth between the two. It was a lot of fun. I would definitely do it again if you get a chance. You're out in the sun, so you would hate it. There's sand everywhere, so you would also hate it.
I would try it. I'd try any live sport at its highest level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was cool. Like just watching it, like I gained so much of an appreciation for men's and women's volleyball. Especially, I think like the women's a lot better because the men's was like they're so good and so big and so talented. Like they would just spike it into the ground and like they never return the spikes because it was like things going like 150 miles per hour. Like just get out of the way. Whereas like you'd get tons of volleys in the women's game. It would go back and forth, and that was a lot more fun than like the guys would be like serve set spike serve set and then like it was just that infinitely until maybe one guy got lucky and was able to kind of block it or do something. But otherwise it was just guys throwing 150 mile per hour volleyballs at each other. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would try it because the first time I went to the U.S. Open, it was like on a work thing. Like, one of the higher ups was like a big tennis guy, right? And I liked TV tennis. I didn't know how I was going to feel about the live tennis, and then I loved it and went back every year. So you never know when you go to these, these lives. So you got to be the highest level though. Like I don't like jabroni level of anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to go see like. Don't invite me to your kid's volleyball game at, fucking bumfuck high school. I'm not going to enjoy it.
I watch a lot of high school sports, but some by like me having to, and then like I like high school basketball. High school basketball is pretty solid, but I've definitely it has definitely petered off in recent years. Now I have a few friends that coach, so I have to go like watch their games or whatever, and then like watch game tape with them later, which is excruciating sometimes. But it's all for helping my buddies out. So.
Jennifer Capriati. You like the Capriati?
Oh, yeah. Martina Hingis was a popular one in the chat room, too. I was a big fan of her back in the day. So.
Oh, Hingis? Yeah, I remember
Hingis.
Yeah.
I guess I watched a lot more tennis than I thought, so that's,
Yeah, you're up on all these tennis players.
I've, after 2004, I'm pretty much done, but up until then, I got a lot.
How deep can you go? You know Marty Fish?
Nah, don't know Marty Fish.
Not a big Marty Fish guy? No? Marty with a D. M-A-R-D-Y, Marty Fish. American. I think the highest he got was like 20th in the world or something. Mid-level guy. He'd always lose in like the second round. Not a Marty Fish guy, huh?
Yeah,
how about a Bobby Fish? You a Bobby Fish guy?
I do like Bobby Fish.
Yeah? No Marty Fish, though, huh?
Nah, that's not going to work for me. Anyway,
right.
let's get to this. We got plenty to get to here tonight. We're talking G1 Climax. We're talking MIRO. A little bit more on MIRO. I know you just discussed a lot of it on the TV reviews, Thursday TV reviews up at patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. So we're not going to do a ton about MIRO, but I did want to get my thoughts in there and kind of touch on it a little bit because it is an important newsworthy thing.
I did 20 minutes on MIRO.
Well, we're going to do 10 minutes more.
I blew out my vocal cords doing MIRO. I actually didn't yell and scream that much. I just, a lot of bits.
Yeah, liked it that much. Well, you liked it a lot. I did not like it as much. So
don't misrepresent me. I didn't like it at all.
Is that true? Oh well, weird.
No, did not like the MIRO debut. But I can't give away that content for free.
No, I know.
I did 20 minutes on MIRO. Come on, man. But yeah, you got to get your licks in.
I'll touch on a little bit. Yeah, we won't go into excruciating detail about the Twitch streamer guy. So that's fine. So.
The people got to know what your takes on the MIRO.
Yes, WWE Labor Day ratings.
He looks like he's handing out mixtapes on the street.
Yes, he does.
That's what he looks like. Right? That's what he looks like.
It looks like you leave a rap concert and a guy is, hey, you want to listen to my tape? I'm like, nah, man, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on the mixtape.
Yeah, thanks, though. Yeah. The best is they'll hand you those and then, charge you for them. I'm like, oh, bro.
Right. Now it's like a legally binding contract. You've just purchased the mix, and then you feel guilty and you pay.
Yeah, I have paid. I do have many of those. They've all been thrown out over the years. I don't have any remaining, but
right.
I should have actually kept a few of those. You never know,
Yeah. Especially
in Chicago. I may have found a future star in one of those, but judging by the quality in what I received, I don't think so. So
you know what else MIRO looks like now? He looks like the guy that works at the mall kiosk that sells third-party phone accessories.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
That's what he looks like.
The shitty covers for your phone and shit, and
yeah.
I said he looks like he looks like a divorced dad who hangs out at a club. He drives a sports car. He has vodka waters because he's trying to stay in tip top shape, but he's hitting on 22-year-olds and they're like, how old are you? And he's like, doesn't matter.
Yeah, desperately clinging to his youth.
Yeah, right. He smells horrible. He just smells like terrible cologne.
Yeah,
drives his mid-level sports car. It's not it's not a good sports car, but it's in the 90s it would be a Miata or whatever. But I don't know what the current mid-level sports car is.
It's what his credit afforded him. Okay?
Yeah, right. It'd be a Miata, and then into the Dodge Vipers of the 90s and 2000s. I don't know what that car is. these days. But you know the class of car I'm talking about, right?
We're not car guys. We'll botch this badly. We'll botch this worse than name a tennis player from Rich's youth.
Right.
So it's So what else we got on this?
Okay, we also have Labor Day ratings for Raw, which are not great, Joe. So we'll talk a little bit about that, a little bit about the drops in viewership from year to year, and a little bit about what's coming, because the NFL is coming and NBA playoffs are coming, and those are starting to gain some momentum ratings wise. So just a little bit about WWE and what's going on with their ratings, and then we're going to bounce around a few different places in the final part of the show. RevPro UK, Epic Encounters Night 2. We're going to talk about that show. Looks really good on paper. 2 matches that definitely stand out to me. That had me pretty excited. A show that does not have me very excited, but somehow wants $7.99 of my money. UWN Primetime Live, the first episode of the new United Wrestling Network, is coming at the beginning of next week, and we're going to talk about that card, which, Joe, does not look as good as the RevPro UK card. I could say definitively that's the case. And then we're going to touch a little bit about Gabe Sapolsky. We were going to talk about this last week, but he officially announced that he was done with WWN, done booking indies, and we'll talk a little bit about his legacy as far as being a booker. And you've been banging this drum for a while too, so we'll kind of do it again here, I think in bigger form of just how big of a gap he's going to leave in the independents if he is officially done and never going back to it ever again, which looks to be the case. It looks like he's cashed those chips in, and rightfully so, and appears to be done. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But of course, we got to begin with the G1 Climax, Joe. Participants, matches we're looking forward to, odds to win, all this stuff going on. We need to touch on the G1 Climax. Now, for the record, we are recording this on Thursday. We do not have the schedule yet. I believe the schedule comes out on the 11th. It'll be tomorrow morning, right? I think that the schedule is coming out. So if you're listening to this on the weekend, if you're listening to this next week, we don't have the schedule in front of us right now as you're hearing us talk about this. We do not have the schedule. But that's going to make it a little bit more fun, I think. Then we can kind of, because in past years, we'd had the schedule, we had the participants, and we would do this game of, okay, who's going to win? Or, hey, you think this guy could win? Or the problem, though, with that is, like, you would tell me, hey, what's the final 4 matches? And then you'd say, oh, well, it's going to be this guy and this guy. It's obvious. That's how they booked it. And it's like, oh, that's not very fun. We're wide open. We don't know what the hell's going to happen. Plus, we have the COVID thing still going. We still have a Tokyo Dome that's going to be maybe, quarter capacity, third capacity. So anything could happen with this G1, which is a lot of fun. So we'll talk about that, odds to win. But Joe, you want me to, let's break down these blocks here real quick. I'll just announce the blocks. We'll start with the A block, then we'll go to the B block. I'll kind of get your thoughts on both of those. So we'll start with the A block here. I think everybody should think, this block's fucking loaded. I can't wait to watch most of the matches in this block. But the A block is Kota Ibushi, Kazuchika Okada, Jeff Cobb, Tomohiro Ishii, Will Ospreay, Shingo Takagi, Minoru Suzuki, Taichi, Jay White, and Yujiro Takahashi. So, yeah,
the big thing here is the middle of last week, I compared my notes with Joel from the JCast in terms of what we'd been told privately concerning the G1 lineup over the last several weeks. And anyone who listened to the JCast last week, where they strongly hinted that a lot of the foreigners were there and kind of nailed who some of them were going to be because, they get good information. And, I had a tentative G1 list that didn't include foreigners that had the caveat of this is subject to change if we can get them in. So we kind of think we know what the lineup looked like before they were able to get in these, 5 guys, right? Ospreay, White, Cobb, Kenta, and Juice.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so by getting, and the lineup before they were able to do that, because that really came down from Japan, really, it saved New Japan's ass.
Oh, it was 11th hour stuff. Yeah. We're talking about those restrictions somewhat being lifted about a week ago. And then we were down to the wire too of like, okay, if these guys are going to come to the country, they have to be here now. They have to quarantine. So it's not only just that they have to get here. That's the first caveat is, yes, you can have these people come to your country. Then they have to quarantine so they're ready for the G1, because then the scenario could have been, okay, we have these guys that are in the country, but they have to miss the first 5 shows because they're still quarantining or whatever. Everything worked out perfectly in this case where the guys are still on quarantine, but they'll all be done and ready. This could not have worked out better for New Japan, the timing. Yeah,
and the tentative lineup did have juniors in it because it had to. You're working with an X amount of guys, so but they got the 5 guys in, and then, at the end of the day, there's only 3 changes from last year. And those are changes that likely would have occurred anyway. Jon Moxley was not going to be in this thing, not with having to be on TV every week. or it was highly doubtful that he'd be in. I guess you can't say that he definitely wouldn't have been. Lance Archer, though, definitely would not have been. New Japan cut ties with him immediately when he jumped to AEW, and I forget who was the third. I can't remember who the third guy was, but
it was Archer. It was Archer, Moxley, and
Fale.
And Fale, yeah, are the three that were not in, that are not in, and that were in last year. So
yeah, so Fale would have been. I think we could all safely say that. But so what they ended up here was with a really strong group of. There's a really strong G1 when, at the 11th hour there, it really was going to be a very much a watered down field. So, and the A block is phenomenal. I mean, it's not just that they got 5 guys in. Look at the 5 they got in. I mean, Will Ospreay's arguably the best wrestler in the world. And last year, he was the best tournament. He might have had Will Ospreay's 2019, outside of just being one of the historically great years in pro wrestling history. He was the best tournament. That might have been the best tournament year that anyone has ever had.
Oh yeah, mostly because he was in every tournament, which helped. He was in New Japan Cup. He was in the juniors. He was in the, that's what Or I forget if he was in the New Japan Cup either.
No, he was.
He was. That's right. Oh, he wasn't. He was in the New Japan Cup, the juniors, G1, just in fucking everything.
Well,
yeah,
just between those 3. I mean, his best of the super. He was the best guy in the best of the Super Junior. He was the best. He was arguably one of the best guys in the G1. I graded out his best of Super Junior matches. Every single one of them was 4 stars or better. The entire tournament. I mean, it was the best of the Super Junior performance I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen them all. Then he went into G1 and crushed it. Yeah. No one ever had.
I forgot about the J Cup. He was in the J Cup last year too. I forgot they even did the J Cup last year.
The J Cup and the New Japan Cup. He had the great match with Lance Archer. Remember, they had their first match at New Japan Cup, and then they opened up the G1 in Dallas against each other and had another great match. He had the best tournament year of any wrestler of all time. So to get a guy like that, who's arguably the best wrestler in the world at his peak, who is a proven, just top tier tournament wrestler, and then you get Jay White, who's very important in terms of star power and everything else, and you get Kenta back in here, and you get Juice in here, and you get Cobb. I mean, they lucked out. I mean, they just got, this is just such a good break for them, and this is a legitimate, full-on G1 field, and we were not sure we were getting that like 10 days ago. But now you get these guys in, they quarantine for 14 days, and away you go. It's great. It's great news for everybody.
I'm way more excited about this than I was, seeing that tentative list or just in your head being able to make a tentative list, even if that list wasn't, really accurate, just in your head thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, like it's either old guys, juniors, or guys that stink. You know what I mean? It's about save for if Hiromu got in, I'd have no issue with Hiromu in here over some of the guys, if Kenta couldn't make it and we had to have Hiromu, that's fine. If Jay White couldn't make it and we had to have Hanare, that's, a little bit of star power missing, but I have faith that Hanare would go in there and do some decent work or whatnot, or whoever the guys were going to be. But yeah, once you started getting past a few names, you're thinking, oh, Jesus, it's either let's dig up the old guys or, let's just fill it with juniors, and that it just wouldn't feel like a true G1. And this absolutely feels like a real G1. I mean, I just posted an article at voiceswrestling.com today just talking about how I can't believe how familiar this all is. Like when you look at the field, it looks pretty similar. And some people might see that as a negative. Oh, it's the same as it was last year. Dude, I can't wait. I can't believe that it's the same as it was last year. You know what I mean? Save for a few different people. And everybody that got included, we have Yujiro in there, and that's not great. And we'll talk about that. And we have, Yoshihashi in there, and that's, whatever. But, one of the guys that gets, put in is Minoru Suzuki. And, when you talk about Bad Luck Fale's out, put Yujiro and Bad Luck Fale in the same category. That's kind of a wash. Moxley is going to be missed, but I think Minoru Suzuki can step into the Moxley role perfectly fine and be, definitely great. And then you have Yoshihashi and Lance Archer. Your mileage may vary on that, but I think that's relatively close. I think I'd probably prefer Archer in there. But all in all, that's pretty damn good. When we talk about the ones going in and the ones coming out, that's not bad.
I think that maybe Yujiro might be the only guy that wouldn't have been in it. And maybe Yoshihashi, but I'm not even so sure about him. Because if you throw those two out, look, Fale would have 100% been in it. I think we all agree with that.
Sure.
The only other guy that's questionable to me is Hanare. I personally think they would have put Hanare in it. I think coming off pre-COVID, I think it was obvious that Hanare was being elevated. He was going to get a never title shot, and I really feel like this year just felt like the year for him to be elevated. But if it's not Hanare, then who would it have been? It wasn't going to be Sho. Sho has only been considered because Yo is hurt. It wasn't going to be Hiromu, obviously, because they didn't put him in it. I mean, he'd be in it if they wanted him in it. Kojima, it looks like he's in Nakanishi land now. I think we all need to just accept that. So who else is there outside of Fale? It would have had to have been Hanare.
Yeah, well, you could bring back a Yuji Nagata or whatever, but that's he had a send off.
No, they already did their farewells.
Well, he did. There was a quote last week when I think they had to kind of get ready for the possibility. And he was like, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to be return to the G1." They don't want that to happen, but if it was like, fuck Yuji, we need you, he'd do it, of course. But
I'm talking no. I'm talking in a non-COVID world, what the lineup would.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh yeah, no chance for him.
So I think Fale would have been in for sure.
He's definitely.
And I think maybe Hanare would have been the other one if you want to take Yoshihashi out. What I'm saying is Yujiro wouldn't have been in it. He definitely would have been the first cut.
He's one of the few. I think one of the only guys I would say on this list. Yeah, or like you're saying, the only guy on this list that is in because of COVID. Everybody else seems like they're in because of merit for the most part.
Yoshihashi is questionable. I am not positive with him. But that's why my point was, if you say, okay, Yoshihashi wouldn't have been, who would have been in his place? The only possible replacement is Hanare, if we're working off of the premise that Fale would have been in instead of Yujiro. I don't think we're forgetting anyone who isn't available. First of all, if they are available and they're not in, then that eliminates them right off the bat. Your Hiromus, your people like that. Mm-hmm. Kojima. Because if they wanted Hiromu and Kojima, and they'd be in. So you have to think, who's not
Mikey
around?
Nichols, baby. No, I'm just joking, obviously.
Hey, listen, no days off Fred Rosser. Right. Get him in there.
I like how I can't even say Mikey Nichols without laughing. What a fucking disaster. My God. Remember, I'd love to hear, our shows, a year before, or a few days before he's debuting, man, Mikey Nichols really could prove these guys wrong. He was so good. Wasn't he good? He was good, right? 5 years ago, he was really good.
Some guys are tag guys.
We're not making that up, right? He was good.
No, he was good. Maybe
right, okay.
Some guys are tag guys. I mean, he hasn't gotten rave reviews for his Australian work either since he left.
Yeah.
So it's some guys are just tag guys. He's also late 30s, banged up. He's been wrestling forever. That guy was original LA Dojo with Rocky Romero.
That's true. Yeah, I always forget that. Yeah.
And Bryan Danielson and TJ Perkins. He was early. He was 2001 New Japan LA Dojo. So this is a guy that's 20-year veteran. He's been through it. There's nothing wrong with being a tag guy, but maybe he just needs, maybe he needs Shane Haste to get released.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, no, seriously though,
I'm trying to think of and these are just all the names that I can think of outside my head is Yota Tsuji, but again, he's a young lion. He'd only be in there to kind of take falls or whatever, and they don't really need that, especially.
And again, he's there. They put him in if they want.
Exactly. That, yeah. So he's obviously not a reason. You're Tamatonga Tongaloas, but that's been kind of a joke as of late too. Hey, I'm not coming into the tournament.
Yeah.
So they've been out for years anyway.
Why would they put him back in after taking him out last year?
Exactly. Right.
And here's your choices: it's Fale, Hanare, and Moxley.
What about Carl Fredericks?
You know what? Okay, that's fair. But you know what? Do you put him in a G1 already? And because he's got to go 1-8. I mean, I guess he could do that, but it's don't you have to pay some dues before you get into G1?
I like this current path of him just going on a year where he just beats everybody below him before he moves up, and because it's still pretty fresh in the mind that he's just losing every match or losing every because he's a junior or a young lion. So I think a year of him beating everybody that are kind of a rung below him before he moves up is probably the better plan. So next year, if you want to put him in the G1 and he goes 1-7, I think I'm okay with that. But this year it would feel a little weird.
Hey, I think bottom line here is we're close to the field that they wanted.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I mean, we're 95%, when you look at this. And, yeah, that A block is phenomenal. And, I was going to go through some of the snubs, but I think we already did that. So, our feelings on them. I mean, Fale would have been in. And, I'm disappointed that Hanare isn't in it. I'm disappointed that he lost this entire year because I really think this was his year. And Kojima, I just think the ship has sailed and they're not going to give him his go away G1, and it's a shame. But that could be the price you pay for leaving.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe don't leave, in the peak of your push and go to the rival company. And
I mean, it was objectively, in hindsight, the correct move for his career because
Oh, no question. No question.
He got the biggest push of his life in All Japan. And then they essentially begged on their hands and knees for him to come back and save New Japan as All Japan Triple Crown champion.
And he did.
And he had them in the palm of his hands. And he came back and worked that angle, and then eventually came back into the company full time. And then was the guy who handed the baton to Tanahashi for Tanahashi's big run in what I think is an underrated match historically. That was a symbolic match at that Wrestle Kingdom of the old generation passing the torch to Tanahashi. And it was Kojima who they put in that spot. Not Nagata, not Tenzan, Kojima. So he has now everyone knows I'm an unabashed Kojima fan. And maybe I'm a little biased, but I do think he has an underrated historical career when you look at all of these things. But yeah, that could be a factor as to why he doesn't get the going away G1 that guys like Nagata and Tenzan got, because he left. He left with Muto and jumped off of that sinking ship and then came back and helped patch up the holes. And then ultimately was the guy who put Tanahashi over. Rich, that's a great match. Have you seen that match?
Of course.
And the storytelling in that match, the symbolism and everything else, and then, so it's like he kind of gets lost in the shuffle of guys. People talk about Tenzan and Nagata and you go back further, Chono and Hashimoto. And it's a shame that people often leave out Kojima when they're talking about these New Japan legends because, I think he deserves to be spoken in the same breath as all those guys. And when you just look at his career as a whole and that great All Japan run, which I'd like to do a deep dive on eventually to re-explore it.
Yeah, I think that's in our big list, isn't it?
It's on our master list, yeah.
Good.
It's going to be hard to rustle up some of the matches, but you know where to get them. And I think he's had as a whole, his career is very interesting. Borderline Hall of Famer. I don't know if I'd vote for him necessarily, but he's not a guy where I would see his name and instantly disregard him at all. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think we'll never see him in a G. It's a shame because he still has, a lot to offer.
I know this is the thing that I've been arguing with people almost the entire year about is I just don't understand why, all this COVID shit happens, all this sort of happens. And I'm like, dude, you got a guy there that's like a proven main eventer. Yeah, he's a little old, but dude can still go. You know what I mean? He still has, a legendary aura about him. He's the legend that all those other guys are, but he can still go to a high level. Yuji Nagata can sometimes go. Tenzan obviously can't go anymore. Nakanishi clearly can't go and had to retire. All those other guys, nobody else from that generation can really go on that level anymore. Kojima still can. You could absolutely have Kojima have a hope spot, main event, for the IWGP title. And oh my God, is he going to do it in his old age? And no, he doesn't, but he has a hell of a match and makes you think that he might. I don't understand why they haven't done that. At least one. Why not?
Here's an exercise for everyone. Take Yujiro out of that block and put Kojima.
Yeah, dude.
There's not a bad match block.
Kojima Ibushi, Kojima Okada, Kojima Ishii, Kojima Ospreay, Kojima Shingo, Kojima Suzuki.
There's not a bad match in the block at all left.
Imagine Taichi pissing him off. I'm even down for that.
Look, Taichi in that block is going to be good. Because, listen, Taichi's hit or miss, but you put him in with that level of talent.
Can't. Yeah, you can't miss with these guys. I mean, Jesus.
And then you have, that's not a catch, by the way. This Chiefs game. That is not a catch. Wave that touchdown off.
Not watching.
And then you have Cobb, who I think is a little overrated, but again, with those people, Cobb is going to be fine. And then you have Yujiro. But I will say this about the A block, and obviously it's loaded. My most anticipated match of the G1, the one I have circled, Rich, and I hyped this up on Twitter today, is in the A block. And there's a lot of choices, right? And I promise you, I'm not doing a bit. This is not I'm not playing this for laughs. My most anticipated match in the G1 comes out of the A block, and it's Yujiro versus Will Ospreay. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Will Ospreay had a notebook match against Dookie in the Best of the Super Juniors last year. Carried that guy to the match of his existence. Yujiro, as we know, direct quote from a pro wrestler who will not be named. I did what I could with a Yujiro. Okay. Concerning a G1 match.
Yes, I do remember that.
Okay.
I did what I can with. I like how it's he took out a Yujiro, not Yujiro, a Yujiro, as if now he's like the representative of just a shitty, like, how the hell do you do anything with this guy wrestler? It's just now called a Yujiro. I love that idea.
Direct quote.
Yeah.
I did what I could with a Yujiro. Okay. Yujiro's even known within the locker room as like, fuck. I got to make something
I'm sure he knows too. You think Yujiro goes out there and thinks, that was a great match I just had? He knows. He comes out with his babe. He does his things and he goes to the back and he's perfectly content with it. You think that guy takes pride in the bell to bell of his act? No, he doesn't. Get out of here.
The problem with Yujiro is he's also a little sloppy.
Yeah.
We've seen him drop guys on their heads and blow spots. So it's like not even like it's a very stressful night for the wrestlers. Put it that way. And it's like, I want to see how Will Ospreay approaches that match because he never lets up. He's always tons of effort, and he can drag great matches out of bad wrestlers. If he can drag a great match out of Yujiro, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't think anyone else is even going to bother trying. So that's why, to me, that's my most anticipated match. I know all those other matches are going to be great. How boring would it be to say, I'm really looking forward to Kota Ibushi versus Tomohiro Ishii. Well, yeah, you and everybody else on planet Earth are looking forward to Kota Ibushi versus Tomohiro Ishii. I want to see if Will Ospreay can get a great match out of a Yujiro. How about that?
That's good. I like it. Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, obviously, the matches that really stick out to me, ones that jump off the page. The first one that jumps off the page to me is one that I don't recall. I mean, maybe we have seen at some point. I don't recall ever seeing it. Kota Ibushi and Shingo. That's got to be a first time ever, right?
I think did we talk about that? Or was it, I know that JCast tweeted out all of the first time matchups. You talk about, I will look for it.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see it. And I'll do a quick cage match search to see if these guys ever had a one-on-one, because I mean, that is like, you're talking like, cage match says no. Cage match says they never had a one-on-one match. So
that's a good one.
So, I mean, that's like, you're talking like, I my personal, top 10 wrestlers of all time, facing off with each other for the first time ever. Like, that's, I mean, come on, Kota Ibushi and Shingo, and those guys that take so much pride in their work and never take a day off, like Fred Rosser. They also don't take a day off. Cannot wait. Yeah, and that's like a dumb one that everyone, of course, is going to say, yeah, that, but like really that one, like that's circled, highlighted, bolded, like, oh, dude, like I'm now worked myself into such a shoot that these guys are going to have like a 4.5 star match, and I'm going to be like, it was all right. You know what I mean? Like, that's how anticipated I am for that one, because, the sky's the limit for Shingo versus Kota Ibushi. I mean, I cannot wait for that.
The A block has 14 first
That's what
time.
I'm saying, dude. I saw the B block and it was like 3, and then like the A block has got, read them off if you have them in front of you.
The B block has 3 and they're nothing. It's Yano versus Kenta, Juice versus Yoshihashi, and Juice versus Kenta.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can have those all. I'll take Juice and Kenta, I guess, maybe, but yeah, you can take all those.
That's not exactly a dream match.
Yeah, you can go have those all. Yeah, read these A block ones, because.
Well, I'll read you the interesting ones. Minoru Suzuki versus Will Ospreay, Shingo versus Okada, Shingo versus Ibushi.
Is this really the first Shingo versus Okada? Well, fuck, never mind. 2 top 10 wrestlers. Never mind. There's more top 10 wrestlers in Rich's lifetime facing off each other for the first time. Fuck, really? Okada and Shingo never?
That's what it says.
God
you
damn.
can look it up.
A block. Let's go.
You can cross-reference it if you want. But
I'm sure they're right. No reason to believe. I mean, I'm trying to think in my head of where they would ever cross paths, and yeah, I don't. Off the top of my head, think of it. But let me see if I can do a quick little dive. Just
Jeff Cobb versus almost everyone. Jeff Cobb has 5 first-time matches out of it.
Yeah, whatever.
Will Ospreay versus Ishii is a first-time
really?
match.
God damn.
And then Yujiro has, believe it or not, Yujiro has 5.
Yeah, how is that even? Well, I guess because he's been out of G1 since, 15?
He doesn't do tournaments.
Yeah, and he doesn't do tournaments. So yeah, a lot of one-on-one matches with him versus any of these guys that are newer to the company is pretty rare. So
yeah, those would be the ones you would circle. You'd got Suzuki Ospreay, Shingo Okada, Shingo Ibushi, Ospreay Ishii.
Yeah, that's
out of the 14. Those are the A block. It's going to be great. I mean,
man.
So I guess we saw B block low. Like, I don't think B block is terrible. I think B block is pretty good. I think B block has a lot of interesting matches from a story perspective. I don't think the match quality is going to be as. I mean, this happens every year in the G1 though, where one block is clearly stronger than the other. I think most years we come on here and say that. But I'm not like. But there's some years where one of the blocks I'm just like, ugh. You know, there's like 3 guys that I think are any good. But I think the B block looks pretty interesting. I mean,
no, I think, my criticism of the B block is that it's nowhere near as good as the A block, but like, how could it? Like, listen to those names we just mentioned. Like, there's no way the B block could ever fit that level. So it's fine.
Before we can I give you one caveat to the A block? Now, I know how I feel about this. I know how you feel about it too. But there's a lot, I think the listeners might not feel the same way. I am of the belief that Okada has been fucking around and he's ready to just turn it on. But do you think there's any chance that he's washed up?
There is. I mean, there absolutely is, because we just haven't seen it from him since he came back. I would love to know in that first match, whatever that schedule is going to be, whatever that first day, you like to come out of the gate something hot. If he's against, Ishii on night 1 or whatever, and goes out there and we'll know in like 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, we'll know, because I knew, as the second the bell rang on those Yujiro matches, you knew he was fucking around. You knew he didn't care. He didn't give a shit. I hope he's not washed up. I really do. I would really, really, really hope he's not washed up, because this is going to be a long few years if that's the case. No, I mean, I can't say definitively that he's not washed up until I see him do it again. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be watching. I mean, I think we'll know pretty quickly if he's, if that was just him realizing it's against a Yujiro and there's no point in really trying, or if he is truly washed. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I don't believe it until I see it. I don't believe you're done until I see it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And unless you think that what we've seen over the last, 2 months or whatever is it, I can't buy in that this guy at the top of his peak, at the peak of his powers, all that sort of stuff is just fucking done. I think I don't know, but no.
But the thing is, I've already given my theory as to what COVID era Okada has been. I just think he's entered the point of his career where he's banged up and he's not going to try unless he has to. He has entered the Naito Tanahashi portion of his career.
Sure, right. Yeah. 6-man tag on the lower card. I'm not, because this is a guy who night in, night out, and we would laugh about it too, is like, all the old timers, his Togi Makabes and his Tanahashis and all these other guys are tagging him for 2 seconds, doing one move and tagging out, or Togi Makabe just never tagging out, or just never, even coming to the ring basically sometimes. And Okada, we would say like, man, dude, it's like December 21st in like the opener of like a long card, and he's out there bouncing all around and bumping back and forth. And it's like, dude, you don't have to do that. Like, it's just, go in there, do your shit and get out of there. And I think that may have been what we saw. I'm with you. I will believe until I truly see it. The G1 will be it. If after the G1 we say, decent but okay performances by Okada, then we can really have that talk. Because you might have a guy that's not motivated by the lack of crowds, or not motivated by the no mouth noises or whatever. But like, if you're not motivated getting in the ring in a G1 against Tomohiro Ishii or Kota Ibushi or Shingo or Will Ospreay, then okay, it's not just motivation. It might be that you're washed. So we'll see. I think, but no matter what, we'll know very quickly if he's back truly.
There's a couple of things you learn during G1 season. Number one, the G1 tells no lies. Okay, the G1 is like white spandex. It tells no lies. Okay, so, and the other thing about the G1 is you cannot handicap award season until G1 happens. People make that mistake every year. I don't want to hear about your Wrestler of the Year lists or anything else until the G1, because the G1 blows that shit up. So we'll know, like you're saying, right away. Couple nights in this block, where really, unless it's Yujiro and maybe Jeff Cobb, if you don't match up well with him, there's no excuse not to have a great match. We'll know right away. But to me, when I look at Okada, I see effort level, not ability, as the issue. I just think he looks at empty arena. Who gives a fuck? My neck hurts. Other parts of my body hurt. There's no fans here. Fuck this. I'm putting on this lazy Cobra clutch, and that's all you're getting out of me. And then matches against Yujiro? That motherfucker ain't.
I wasn't motivated to watch them, so I can't imagine he was motivated to perform in them, so I get it.
Yeah, he's not bumping for that guy, So You get him in there against Will Ospreay.
Yeah, I guess your point is like, some of the New Japan Cup matches that he had, like those didn't quite deliver, against Hiromu and some other ones. But it's like, again, the no fans. I think it was a shock to a lot of the New Japan guys, more than we kind of maybe thought that there was going to be. That those guys came out there and no fans, empty arena in a little bit of a warehouse, and these guys they were shook. There was a lot of guys you could tell that just were not themselves, didn't feel motivated, didn't look motivated, didn't appear to have be able to make the same connections that they did before, not being able to get the same energy that they got before. I think that you probably got those out by now. I would hope that you get those jitters out a little bit, and maybe just going to arenas that actually have physical people in them is going to help a lot. And yeah, maybe not facing Yujiro will certainly help too. So
listen, if I'm a 32-year-old Okada or whatever he is, with the career that I've had and the status I have, I am not killing myself in those matches.
No.
I'm just not doing it. I am T-shirt Naito, and that's just what it's going to be. And I don't blame any of those guys in those scenarios because they do kill themselves in these G1s and these big title matches. And we've said it for years. All of these guys have earned the right to coast in these kinds of matches. I have no problem with it at all. The other thing about A Block, and then we'll talk B Block, unless you have some more points on the A Block.
No. Go ahead.
The guy I think some people are overlooking and shouldn't be is Minoru Suzuki, who is a legitimate Wrestler of the Year contender right now. I mean, he's in this block, and he's having a sort of I hate even to call it a renaissance year, because when was he ever bad? But I think there might have been a feeling last year where he was maybe winding it down a little. I mean, we had those conversations. But this year, he's just pre-COVID, post-COVID, killer matches all over the place. And he's the kind of guy who can be 53 years old and have killer matches because his matches aren't built around bumping. His matches are built around aura. Right? And
if you can't buy, I can close my eyes right now and think of a Minoru Suzuki Shingo match and how much I'm going to love it already.
And we just saw it.
Yeah, just guys making faces and slapping one another. It's going to be great. Like, yeah, especially in the G1, especially in the context of, like, yeah, they had the one at Summer Struggle. And yeah, this, I would imagine the follow-up would be the same way. Same thing with Ishii, same thing with Okada. I mean, he had just 2 years ago, what was a G1 with Okada? That was a tremendous match between those two. That was 2 years ago. I think what happened was Suzuki did feel, washed is the wrong term, but 2019 felt like, yeah, like he was winding it down, like maybe it was the end, maybe he didn't care as much. And we know that there was the weird contract stuff. Is he going to go to Noah? Is he going to leave New Japan? All that sort of what's going on. Is he freelance? He's bouncing back and forth. I mean, 2020, he feels like he is re-energized, ready to go, feels like he knows the spot in the company, and he's back in a G1. And Minoru Suzuki always delivered in G1s. Everybody always delivers in G1s. The G1 fucking rocks. It's great. So
the G1 tells no lies.
Yeah, and like I think that's probably what hurt his last year more than anything is that he didn't have that G1. So it was just kind of like, whatever. He just, had a good-ish year, and that was it. Or no, he had the Royal Quest match against Okada that was pretty good. That was at the end of the G1, or after the G1, and that was a tremendous match. It's just he wasn't in the G1, and I think maybe that hurt the perception for a lot of people. But yeah, you go back 2 years, you go back 3 years. I mean, he always delivers in G1. So it's like, why wouldn't I think he would do it again? Of course he is.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the loaded up A block.
Yeah.
I guess we should run down to B block.
I do want to say real quick, I do like that Minoru Suzuki is not with a bunch of like the bullshit. I mean, he is with, Taichi and Yujiro, but, I could see him in the B block for sure if he wanted to take, nights off and do Yano bullshit and do, whatever evil bullshit there's going to be or whatever. But I love the idea that they put Minoru in this A block. So it's the working block. There's Yujiro, there's Taichi, there's Jay White. They have like, their own little levels of bullshit, but it does feel like you said, B block feels like they're going to tell a lot more stories, where A block feels like dudes are just going to go out there and wrestle each other. So,
well, who's the night off in the A block? Because normally it's Fale in the opposite block of Yano.
I mean, I guess it's Yujiro, but like you said, there's a lot of work in delivering
a match with
Yujiro. But maybe you say, hey, Yujiro, just try to hit me in the nuts, and we'll do like maybe that's the goal that they do with Yujiro is he does kind of just not even try, and they just don't even try in matches with him, or everybody says, fuck it, let's see what we can do with a Yujiro, and they go out there and they do it. So
might be Taichi.
That's true. Yeah.
Can't you see him being shenanigans heavy, sort of as the de facto night off? Jay White is possible, but his matches generally will still have the big closing stretch where you're bumping all over the place. And I think it's kind of played out with Jay White. They've told that story with him, cheating his way through a G1. So I don't know. It might be Taichi. So, Yano and Fale haven't been in the same block like since I saw the stat, but I don't remember it, like 2014 or something. Because that's both of their roles. The 6-minute match for the night. So, I don't know. That's interesting.
All right, let's move on to the B block here. We start off with Hiroshi Tanahashi. I believe A is for Ace. He has been in the A block for many, many years. I'm going to do some research on that to figure out exactly how long it was. But yeah, it's been a long time for Hiroshi Tanahashi in the A block. He has now moved over to the B block, and he is with Juice Robinson, Hiroki Goto, Toru Yano, Yoshihashi, Tetsuya Naito, Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, and Evil. So there's a certain type of fan that I could see absolutely loving the B block. And I don't hate the B block. But, like, you talk about Rich Kraetsch wrestlers, a lot of those are in the A block. When you talk about Rich Kraetsch wrestlers, not too many of them in the B block. I absolutely see this type of fan who would love the B block. If you're into LIJ, if you're into the LIJ breakup, if you're into, the minutia of LIJ, I absolutely get the B block interest level.
Because you got 3 of them.
You got 3 of them. There's some interesting, dynamics there. You got Evil versus Nada. You got Evil versus Naito. You have a little bit of Bullet Club stuff there with Kenta versus Naito and Kenta. There's a lot of juice on the bone there, storyline wise.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. I don't mind it. I'm not going to skip over it, but it's definitively like, to me, the wrestlers that I love, the styles that I love, the guys that I'm attracted to in that company. That's the A block. The B block, it's got Hiroshi Tanahashi and Juice, and that's cool. But a lot of the other guys, I could, Zack Sabre Jr. too. I do enjoy, but I think there is a certain type of fan that would love the B block. I just don't know that I'm that fan. So
I've seen worse blocks.
No, it's not bad. It's really not.
You know what helps too is Makabe is off making movies and shit, so you don't have to deal with him in either of these blocks. So that helps a lot too, in terms of, because his matches aren't of late in G1. He wasn't even in it last year, though, I don't think. So this is 2 years in a row with no Makabe. So, it feels like Naito is always in the B block. I don't know if that's true or if I'm misremembering. I just feel like he's always in the B block for whatever reason. But, there's some stuff here. I mean, Tanahashi, same conversation we always have. Is this the year where he doesn't have a great G1? It hasn't been true yet. It's a challenging block. He's not in there with the...
I honestly think that there's enough. Like, say if he has... Okay, so if he has a good match with, let's say, Juice Robinson, conservatively, that's one. I think he can have a good match against Hiroki Goto, right?
I think anyone could have a good match.
Yeah, exactly. So there's one, maybe 2 if you're going to count the Juice Robinson. Are you counting my Juice Robinson one or no?
I mean, that one is...
Okay, we'll count 1. We'll just say 1. That's fine. We don't need to count that one.
Well, Naito, he's going to have a good match.
Yeah, exactly. So Yano... Or Goto, not Yano. Tanahashi Yano match was the best match of the whole G1. Fuck you. Tanahashi Goto, Tanahashi Naito, Tanahashi Zack Sabre Jr., and then I guess Tanahashi Kenta. And then, if he has those 4...
I'm tired of his matches with Zack. But okay. Kenta...
How can you be tired of him? There was only 12 of them last year.
And this year with all the tags.
Yeah.
And 6-man tags. And God. Kenta, I don't think that's any kind of lock. Remember, this ain't 2009 Kenta.
Yeah, Kenta does suck now, kind of. So I do need to get ready for that. So.
Kenta's a particular kind of... Here's the thing with Kenta, and I don't know if you've been watching New Japan Strong.
I have, yeah.
Okay, his whole thing, and he says it right in his promos. I'm not out here to give you the best match on the card. I'm out here to win. His whole gimmick is like, I'm not going to say not to have great matches, but that's not the story they tell with him. He will cheat, and he will give you finishes that make you groan. And we all know physically, and we've had a million conversations about Kenta, he's not the same as he was. I still find some of his matches super interesting, and I think he is a great worker mentally. But there are things he attempts to do physically that just do not work anymore. And I think maybe now he's done even trying those things. Because you remember last year's G1, he tried some shit that was over his head, and it didn't work all the time. I don't know if you recall.
I do, yeah.
But, I think those days are over. I think he's just accepting that he's a grimy heel, right? With some explosive strikes and who could put together a smart match. So I don't think Kenta Tanahashi is a lock So really we're down to like 3 and we're counting Juice. So this is why I say this could be the year Tanahashi doesn't have a great G1. Last year, I think he had a great G1. He put over Will Ospreay, and that was a huge symbolic match. But he's like not in the block this year that's conducive to having a great G1. When you look at the opponents, Evil is going to be very gimmick heavy. But the thing with Evil is it's going to be condensed into 14, 15 minutes instead of 30 minutes, which is why I'm not dreading Evil like I would have if he was still champion and these were not tournament matches.
That's true. It's only a waste of 15 minutes as opposed to a waste of a half an hour. So,
well, I just don't think they need to be as bullshit heavy anyway. I mean, because
they don't need to, but will they?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think some of these opponents he'll just put away. Maybe I'm being way too optimistic.
I think you are, but I hope you're right. I hope you're right. But
I mean, why can't he just beat Juice Robinson? I mean, I guess that's rhetorical, but because we say that, but their whole MO with him is just his name is Evil and he has to fucking be this way, right? So it's like, are we going to continue presenting Evil that way? Because do they still see this as his introduction to the turn?
Yeah, I don't know. Because, what we've seen of him so far is a guy who is evil, so he always has to take shortcuts, and gets taken to the absolute limit by every one of his opponents, and then cheats his way to victory every single time. And if we're telling that story with Yoshi fucking Hashi, then, like, okay, I don't know if I'm into this. Like, just fucking beat him. You just beat the guy. If you need to cheat to beat, Sonata, I buy that. If you need to cheat to beat Naito, that's fine. If you need to cheat to beat Hiroshi Tanahashi, that's fine. But it'll be really telling if he's in there going 50-50 with Yoshihashi, and then we got Garrote Wires, to beat this guy. Then it's like, oh, dude, get out of here. Fucking geek.
That's what I mean. Like, guys on that level, he should just beat them. But it's like, we know how deliberate the booking is in this company when they're introducing a new character trait or a turn. Or
we talked about it last year. I mean, like, the worst thing you could do last year was watching every single one of those G1 shows, because every Jay White match was exactly the same, with the exact same run in at the exact same time. And, like, to the viewer, it looked terrible, but to the live audience, the first time they're popping up in some random town or whatever, the heat was still there every single time, because it's like, oh, boo, boo. But, like, you and I and everybody watching the whole G1, we'd seen it like 7 times in a row now. We're like, oh my God, like, come on, what are we doing? But it wasn't for us, really. It was for, the live audience that ate it up every single time. As they were establishing, hey, this guy's a chicken shit. Maybe 2 years ago, I'm thinking of.
Whatever year that was, yeah. But it's like,
I don't know what year it is anymore either. Who knows? What
exactly.
is time? What is time, Joe? Who cares?
But, like, that's the big question. If they still feel like Evil is in the introductory phase where they have to pound his character work into his matches, we're going to get his bullshit every night. It's just going to be condensed into a shorter package. Except for and again, we're working without the cards. And it's always interesting to see who gets main events and all that, but we just can't do that because we don't have the cards. But, with the exception of the 2 or 3 main events he's going to get, that's why I want to see the cards too. I want to see how many main events that he gets, because that will tell you very quickly where they truly see him in the
right. Because we've been having that argument for a little bit. Is some people saying, "Oh, this is just a way to kind of establish him, and now he's back on the way down," or you and I have kind of said, "No, we think that he's here to stay, and this is just the beginning of his story." So I don't know. Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, if he's in 6 main events or whatever, then it's like, this guy's here to stay.
He's a guy. Yeah, then he's a guy. But if his only main event is like the Naito match, then it's like, oh, well, they don't think he's a guy because they're headlining with Tanahashi and Naito every night, and so he's still below them, in at least the business pecking order. So that's why I wish we had that to work with, but it's just, it is what it is. And I think the A block, there's probably 2 or 3 potential main events every night based on the lineup. But and I always like to see night 1 because there's always a big upset on night 1.
Oh yeah.
To set the tone or to set up a big title match or something. But anything else interesting in terms of B block, so we'll see how they handle Evil. Naito obviously is the champ, so we don't expect him to win it. Although one of these years the champ is going to have to win it. We want to see if Tanahashi can have another great G1 and keep the streak alive. It'll be a challenge with that block for a number of different reasons. Is there anything else in terms of interesting analysis to be had with that group?
I mean, probably some other podcasts might be doing it. I don't know. Like, I don't care about the LIJ thing that much. So that doesn't really. So no, there really isn't. Like, Juice has no real story, obviously, because he hasn't been around. Goto's Goto. I mean, what the hell's the story with Goto other than that he could maybe, make a run towards it? Yano is the same.
Can we make a trade? Can we make a trade?
Are we moving? Are we giving Goto to the A block and giving them Yujiro?
I won't even be greedy. They could have Taichi.
Perfect. That works for me too.
I won't even be greedy. I'll take Yujiro.
The G will stand for Goto if he was in the fucking A block, but unfortunately he's not. So
if you trade Goto for Taichi, is A block the greatest block of all time?
Oh, no question. Yeah.
I mean, I have to look at the other ones. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh my God, if Goto would have been in that block, and if as long as you're trading them for Taichi or Yujiro or Cobb.
Yeah, you know what? Let's be fair. They can have Cobb.
How about you though? Right?
Sorry, you broke up there for a sec. What were you saying?
Who's better at this stage, Taichi or Cobb? I think they'd rather have Taichi though, right?
They probably would. Yeah,
think they'd rather have Taichi.
They could tell some more hashtag stories with Taichi. So
at this stage of their careers, isn't Taichi better in their careers?
Yeah.
Delayed response.
Yeah, sorry, no, you're breaking up. You're breaking up a little bit there. So I heard you in bits and pieces. I think you're back. I don't know what was going on there, but got something streaming or something.
Am I back, sir?
You're back. Yes.
Hello.
Yes, you are. Okay, so what? Okay, I could not for the life of me. I heard one word, and yeah, phrase your question again so I can give you a real good answer.
All right, let's try it again. Don't you think at this stage Taichi is better than Cobb? Or do you disagree?
I don't know what I think about Cobb. So the idea of Jeff Cobb is almost always better than the actual execution of Jeff Cobb. But I'm still holding out hope that, like, and this would be it. This would be the time. This would be the year. I'm not ready to trade him right yet. I think that there's something there. And this would be, if he doesn't deliver on this A block, then no. Then I can definitively say that he is nowhere near as good as Taichi. There's that little sliver of potential that's there, but I could absolutely see the argument. I mean, I like Taichi, so yeah, if you want to trade Cobb to the B block, that's fine too. But I personally would like to see Cobb against these guys and see if he can deliver. If he can't, then it's official. Okay, you're kind of a dud. You're a guy that's just fine. You know what I mean? You're good, but you're not great. And move on, and we know what we have out of him right now. So I would like to keep Jeff Cobb, but I will give you Taichi.
Yeah. I would trade Goto for any of them, obviously.
Yeah.
For any of the three. But yeah, that's the B block. As terms of predictions, I do not have one. I mean, I think that the smart money. I mean, a lot of people think Jay White is winning the tournament.
Oh, well, here, let's do our little fun game here.
Yeah.
You want to do that?
Okay.
Let's do that. Okay. Before we do that, though, little teaser, Joe. I got to let you know about something here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready for this? Now, I know I just did this today, and you do it all. The fresh haircut. Are you still getting? Are you still getting quarantine haircuts or what?
No, I let the kids shave my head.
Oh boy, how's that going?
They love it.
Do you love it?
It's a fun, they have fun with it. And
are they getting better? Are they getting worse? Are they intentionally getting worse? Like what are we? Is one of them like serious about it, and the other one, or they both are just fucking around and drawing zigzags in the back of your head and stuff?
No, they make me look bad on purpose. It's a game. Like they think it's fucking hilarious that they give me like reverse Road Warrior Hawk mohawks.
Okay, that's not bad. What's gonna? Have you ever told them that this might not always be it, or is this going to be it forever? You're just going to do this forever now?
No, they are aware of the virus.
Okay, so they know that these haircuts are just a temporary thing, and that
it's sad that these children are 3 and 4 years old, and all they know in their life is this virus. Like they think this is normal life. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, like they'll say things like, "Oh, okay, I can't go because of the virus." Like it's just. They're born into this shit. It's crazy. I will send you. Here you go.
I got the phone in the hand. All right.
Incoming.
Is this a recent haircut?
This is one of the examples of what they do to me, yeah. So it's fun. It makes for a fun afternoon, and it keeps my hair short.
Got some signal problems there.
Do you?
No, I'm saying you do.
What's wrong with me?
I'm getting text messages left and right.
I just sent you a text message.
I'm not seeing it. Don't have it. Refreshing.
Give it a second. Jeez.
Let's go.
I got to attach the picture.
Let's go, old man. Come on.
How does that make me an old man?
Taking you forever. Here it is. All right. Yeah, that's good.
You know how many pictures I have in my camera roll I got to scroll
through? That's
through?
true. Yeah, this is. I remember this one. I did see this one.
Yeah.
How long did you go with that haircut then?
No, like 10 minutes.
I was gonna say you got to own it. You got to own it the whole day then, right?
No, what they do is they'll do that to me, and then I sell it. I'll be like, "Oh, you can't leave me like this," and then they go, "Yeah, we're leaving you like this." It's a game, But then eventually, they take it off, or I go take it off. But last time the razor the battery died, so I got stuck.
Oh boy.
I got stuck with the reverse.
So you were Hatlands for a day or so.
I just had to charge the fucking yeah. So that was but they think it's hilarious. Like they'll shave my head into that like a weird thing like that, and then they'll go hide the. It's a game, You gotta have fun.
Good. Well, hey, at least they're having fun, and you get a fun game out of it at your expense, which is always the best. So,
yes.
So I just got a fresh haircut today. You talk about your fresh haircuts, the haircuts that you're having, the fun haircuts you're having, all that sort of stuff. A lot of our identity is wrapped up in our hair. And from how it feels after getting a fresh cut, as we said, to the way it's perfectly styled after going out, or the way it's completely botched by your children. That's why when we get into our 20s and our 30s and we start noticing the first signs of hair loss, it definitely feels like panic time, because let's face it, no guy is ever ready to go bald. Thankfully, now there's Keeps, the simple and easy way to keep your hair. 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. The best way to prevent hair loss is to do something about it while there's still time, while there's still hair left. If you wait till you're bald, you've gone too far, you've gone too late. You got to do it now. So you used to go to the doctor's office for your hair loss prescription, or we talked about it before, the terrible, go to the pharmacy and click the button and someone comes over with the keys and, "Here, is this are these the hair loss pills that you need, sir?" Like, yes, that's what I need. So that's all gone now, because thanks to Keeps, you can visit a doctor online and get your hair loss medication delivered right to your home. They make it easy and deliver your medication every 3 months, so you can say goodbye to the awkward doctor visits, goodbye to the pharmacy checkout lines, goodbye to that stupid button and the stupid keys. All that stuff is gone. And Keeps, they offer generic versions of the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products out there. You may have tried them before, but you probably never have for this price, the one that Keeps is giving you for. So anyway, prevention is key, as we said. Keeps treatments typically take 4 to 6 months to see results, so it's important to act fast. So if you start noticing a little bit, now is the time to work at it. Get at it. Don't wait till it's too long, because then you've gone too far. You got to do it now. So if you notice some signs, now is the time to do it. The sooner you start using Keeps, the more hair you'll save. And find out what Keeps has more 5-star ratings than any of its competition, and more than 100,000 men trust Keeps for their hair loss prevention medications. Keeps treatments start at just $10 per month, which is the hell of a steal. Plus, for a limited time, you can get your first month free again. So to do that, you go to keeps.com/VOW. That's keeps.com/VOW. Receive your first month of treatment for free. That's KEEPS.com/VOW. If you're ready to take action and prevent your hair loss, do it now at keeps.com/VOW. Okay. Let's go over our little game. Every year we do this. We do the odds games. So now you're the betting man. We'll get to that here in a little bit here. You're the betting man. You like to make the odds. So are you prepared? Do you have them in your mind? Are you ready? Or you're just I'm gonna say a name and you're gonna think about it off the top of your head.
You want me to give you betting odds for
betting odds? Yeah. You're always good at this. So I don't know. There was that one site that was taking action on G1 last year, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
What if they're doing that again? We'll have to see. So assume the listener is that has the potential to bet on. I got to get my bookie on that.
The block and the tournament.
So we'll do blocks. We'll say, okay, I'll read all the A block and you tell me what chance that person has of winning the A block, and then we'll do the B block and you have what chance that person has of winning the B block. Then we'll take your top 2 odds people, and then we'll do the whole thing. Is that fair?
Okay,
let's do that. So I think one interesting wrinkle, and before you go over your odds, and I think this might be reflected in it as well, is and we talked about it a little bit at the top of the segment, is because of the Tokyo. We don't know what the hell the Tokyo Dome is going to look like at this point. Is there going to be no fans? Is it going to be half full? If for some miraculous reason it's totally full, is it quarter full? Is it third full? We have no fucking clue. And that totally determines. Like, usually it's a lot easier to say, okay, what match can main event the Tokyo Dome? And there's only a few that you could really reasonably say that match can main event a Tokyo Dome. Main event a quarter filled Tokyo Dome? I don't know. Like, right? Like, it really opens everything up.
Yeah, that's why I'm having trouble with trying to work out who I think could win this tournament, because if it's not full capacity dome, it really doesn't matter. They're going to sell it out no matter what. And then it becomes the same question that we always have. Do you burn off a huge money match when you don't have to? Or do you do another match that you know could sell like 15,000 tickets? So it's tricky. It's very tricky.
All right, so let's start out with the A block here. Kota Ibushi, last year's winner.
I think to win the block, he's got to be one of the favorites. 2-1.
2-1. 2-1 for Kota Ibushi. All right. Kazuchika Okada.
I think Okada's winning the whole tournament. 1-2.
Wow.
I'm not giving you great odds on that because I think he's winning the whole tournament.
Okay, interesting. Jeff Cobb.
I would give you.
I'm not betting Jeff Cobb, so that's.
Do we have a cap on this? Just to not get silly.
Let's say 100-1 is the absolute. Like, this dude has no fucking chance.
See, I'd give you better than that. Let's put the cap at 1,000. I'll give you 1,000-1 on Jeff Cobb.
Jeff Cobb, yeah, Kata would have really lost his mind if he decides that Jeff Cobb needs to get the strap and go to.
Listen, anybody wants that action at $100.
That's
minimum.
not a bad. I mean, hey, you might as well put 50 on it. You know.
I'm saying slip in the DMs. I'll take it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe the A block. You know, you might win the. Out of a miraculous. Oh my God, what an upset A block. I mean, you got to take that odds. I mean, 1,000-1, dude. I'll give you $20 for that. I'm not going to. I mean, hypothetically, I'm not sending you $20 fucking for Jeff Cobb.
I'm saying it's got to be worth my while. $100 minimum. Slip in the DMs. You got to send me the money up front, and I'll take that.
Is this legal? I mean, you're doing a competitive bookie. We're about to.
This is for entertainment purposes.
Yes,
only.
thank you. Yes, whereas
asterisk.
Yes, in the next 15 to 20 to 30 minutes will not be entertainment. Will in fact be what you should do and where you should bet. But wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Slide into Joe's DMs and he'll give you.
Definitely don't send me $100
for Jeff Cobb.
If you think Jeff Cobb is going to win the A block, please don't do that. Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
See, my bookie should just run G1. Then we wouldn't have this problem. We could talk about it the whole time. So anyway, this could be a sponsored segment, and it's not. So that's them. They play. Yeah. They're too busy betting on sports, the NFL. So, you do it your way, guys. We'll do it our way. Anyway, I don't know why we're being so mean to our sponsor, but presented this damn show. Anyway, Tomohiro Ishii.
To win the block, I give you 75-1. I don't think he's winning.
It's Ishii. I know. We always have
he goes 5-4.
We always we'll do our pick'em. We're doing the pick'em again this year as well. So details on that, and I get ready to pull my hair out.
Those are long ass odds. I probably shouldn't give out.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might throw a little bit down on that, but I
genuinely don't think he has any chance.
No, he really doesn't, and that's the thing that always kind of strikes me. It's the same thing as years ago when Kota Ibushi would be in the G1s and people would put him to win 14 points or whatever, and Ishii every single year people make him at 12 points or 14 points, and I'm like, guys, Ishii's not getting 14 points. I'm sorry. I wish Ishii would beat Okada and Tanahashi and all these guys on the way, but he's just not. That's not what he does, and he doesn't need to do that either because he's just as over as he would be if he won every match. So
I'm gonna go look, as stacked as the block is, I'm leaving it 75-1.
75-1. There you go, ballsy. Will Ospreay.
Now he's not winning the block, but the thing about it is odds are about getting even money on both sides and all that. He's the kind of guy people would bet on. I'm going to say 25-1.
25-1. Not bad. What about Shingo Takagi?
Same. 25-1.
25-1. Okay.
Yeah.
So we got 2-1 on Ibushi, 1-2 on Okada, right? Those are our two far away favorites at this point. Okay. Oh, yeah. Minoru Suzuki.
5-1.
I was going to say, don't put him low. I think there's if you're trying to have a sleeper coming out of the block, I think Minoru Suzuki's that guy. So yeah, I like that pick a lot. Yeah. Taichi.
100 to 1.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no chance in hell. Jay White, interesting wrinkle.
3 to 1.
3 to 1 on Jay White, nice.
You know what? I wouldn't give those odds though, because everyone thinks he's going to win the tournament. So, I'd make it a little lower. I'm going to go. We'll put him at 2 to 1 as well.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to our final one, Yujiro Takahashi.
1,000 to 1 with Cobb.
Put him higher than who has less of a chance of winning their block, Yujiro Takahashi or Jeff Cobb?
Yujiro.
I feel like it's Yujiro too. Like I could buy that one day Gato wakes up for in some fever dream and says, God damn it, Jeff Cobb's our guy, and everyone's like, whoa, buddy, like let's not do that. He's never waking up and saying Yujiro's the guy. Because somebody would say it's Yujiro, and you go, yeah, you're right, it's Yujiro. What am I thinking? Yeah, of course not. No, sorry.
Well, you could win the block as the Goto kind of deal where you're putting over the guy who wins the other block and they don't want to burn a match. Yujiro would never be that guy, ever. They would never do that with Yujiro. He'd have to look at all the people he'd have to beat to win the block. Look at that block. Like, he's not beating all. That's why Ishii, it looks like I'm crazy.
No, but yeah, I mean, when we talk about Ibushi, Okada, Minoru Suzuki, and Jay White ahead of him, I mean, yeah, of course. He's
not going to win any of those matches. He's going to lose all 4 of those matches. Yeah, so it's like, but if he were in the B block, I'd give him much lower odds. You know what I mean? Because he could be the guy to come out of a block, potentially, and then lose a final. But I don't think he can come out of that A block. I mean, there's no betting site on earth that's going to give you 75 to 1 on Ishii, but I genuinely think those are his real chances. So that's why I went so high on him. But in a real bet, look, on an actual bookie, if you find a site that's taking action, I guarantee you he's like 12 to 1 or something.
All right, let's go to the B block here. So obviously we have Okada coming out of the A block.
I think he's winning the whole tournament.
Okay, so we got that. Then we have the B block here. So we'll start with Hiroshi Tanahashi.
3 to 1.
He's a tough one. Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
He's a tough one. Yeah, 3 to 1.
Juice Robinson.
I don't even know who I like out of this block.
I know it's a wide open block, man. There's like 5 people that I think could easily win this block.
I reserve the right to change my mind when I'm done.
Sure.
Juice, I'm gonna say 100 to 1.
Hiroki Goto. Always a chance.
7 to 1.
Yeah, always a chance with Goto. Toru Yano. That's 15,000 to 1.
He's
20,000 to 1.
What I say for Juice?
You said 100 to 1 for Juice, but I think he's 1,000 to 1.
I think Yano's 1,000 guy. 1,000 to 1.
Yeah, he has zero chance. I'd give you 50,000 to 1 odds on Toru Yano. So
you heard it here, folks. Flip in the richest DMs, and you can get 50,000 to 1 on Toru Yano.
Yoshihashi.
If someone sent you $1, would you take it on that play?
Because I don't think I could pay him back.
So you're not that confident that he has 0%?
No, I'm not that confident because I literally could not pay that man. So, yeah, I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
So
yeah.
Yoshihashi.
1,000 to 1.
Yeah, he's no chance in hell. I'm not taking the 50,000 to 1 on Yoshihashi. You never know. Tetsuya Naito.
Tetsuya Naito, 3 to 1.
Okay, so he's dead even
champ,
with Tanahashi then, right?
I might move Tanahashi down, but Naito's the champ. He can't be any lower than 3 to 1, but he can't really But this is for the block though, right? So it's like I guess he could win the block. Now I'm going to leave it at 3 to 1.
Okay. So we had Naito, Sonata. I got no feel for Sonata right now. I don't think we've mentioned his name once. What a dud. I haven't mentioned his name one time this entire tournament. Is there anybody that's...
He was a trendy pick last year because he had really good odds.
Yeah.
8 to 1.
Watch him win this whole thing, though. Fucking dud. Yeah, I mean... it's not the worst story in the world to tell, but, like... Zack Sabre Jr.
He's not winning the block. He should really be lower, but I'm going to say like 12-1.
Yeah, I was going to do like 15. In my mind, I was thinking 15-20, somewhere in there. But yeah, just to keep it, just in case. But yeah, you
got to give him some level of respect because it is just for the block and it's not for the whole thing. But yeah.
Kenta.
Same thing. Somewhere in that range. I'll say 10-1.
That's the man. Came out in Wrestle Kingdom. Shocked the world at Wrestle Kingdom. You putting him down to 12-1?
10-1.
10-1, okay. Then final one we have here is Evil.
Yeah, I put him at so I've got Tanahashi and Naito at 3-1, right? Let's put Evil at 2-1. Which means I'm telling you it's an Okada Evil final. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But I could see, hey, would they do Tanahashi Okada in a since they've done the match a million times, why not do it limited fan?
Yeah, I don't see why you could try that. I don't hate it.
As a G1 final, that'd be something. That'd be a new wrinkle too. Let's talk ourselves into that.
I talk myself into that yearly is doing like some sort of Okada Tanahashi thing. They did it last year at first night of the G1, but I like the idea of it being a G1 final.
Yeah,
trying to shake, get Okada excited again and get him energized again. Tell him he's going to face Tanahashi in the finals.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I prefer that honestly. But
there's a lot of people who think Tanahashi's going to win the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, there's really honestly. Deep down, like if I was naming guys with the possibility of doing it, just not even odds, just like if you sold me that this man could win the tournament, would I believe it? Mm-hmm. Start Ibushi, yes. Okada, yes. Minoru Suzuki,
no, I don't think
no. Jay White. So out of the A block, I think there's three guys there.
Yeah.
Ibushi, Okada, and Jay White. I think could all very easily, if you sold me on them winning the tournament, I would say yes. You're right.
The thing is, I'm highly skeptical Ibushi can win 2 years in a row.
Oh, I agree too. But if you wanted to sell me on the fact of it, I would say yeah, sure. Because who the fuck knows? It's Tokyo Dome. Who cares? Who knows what this year's Tokyo Dome is going to be?
You could sell me on it, sure. Yeah.
B block, Tanahashi, Naito.
You could sell me on that. Yeah. Yeah, you could sell me Naito. Yeah.
Sonata.
I don't know.
I don't love it, but Sonata.
The
Naito.
whole tournament.
Look,
nah, you can't
pick.
sell me on it.
It's not my pick. I don't want it. And then Evil. I think you could sell me on all those guys.
For me, I would remove Sonata for me personally. I cannot buy the idea of Sonata winning it. I cannot. But yeah, the other three, yeah.
All right. So anything else there for the G1? Or are we ready to move on?
You have a pick or what?
Oh man, my pick. I think my final pick would be. I think my pick's gonna be Jay White
to win it.
Yeah, I think Jay White to win it. I want to pick. I'd rather Okada. I think I like the story of Okada a little bit better. Like that idea of him, the redemption, him getting back, him doing all this sort of stuff. But I do think that Jay White probably has. Just seems like an interesting story to tell. And I do think that the wrinkle of, and God only knows if this is the year they're going to do it. I kind of predict it every single year, and at this point I'm not going to predict it. But Jay White is a decent guy, too, if you want to have him lose it along the way. Lose the briefcase along the way, I think. Yeah, because like Okada, I don't want him losing the briefcase. I don't want any. But if Jay White loses the briefcase, I think he's kind of Teflon at that point. And that's kind of his character. He's kind of a chicken shit, so I don't know if I would mind that too much. So yeah, I think I'm picking Jay White, but yeah, it's Jay White. I'll make my definitive pick as Jay White.
I'm just ignoring COVID because I'm just like, that makes it so hard. But I think like the best match to fill the dome is Okada and Naito. I mean, I know some people will think that's boring, but you know how my mind works. It's always business first. I think there's money in that doing that match again with the other guy as champion, right? So, I mean, so I'm just gonna stick with that. I'm gonna assume that that was the plan. And they're sticking with their plan. So I'm picking Okada. And I guess I'll pick him over Evil. Because Evil beat him in the New Japan Cup.
Right.
So I'll take Okada getting that one back in the I'm not fired up about that idea, believe me. But I think Evil's just a reality we have to live with. So man, we started off excited about all this.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
So, yeah. The Champion Carnival and the N1 start this week, too.
Yeah, you got a busy little schedule coming up here.
Well, the Champion Carnival starts this week. The N1 starts on the 18th. We could talk about that next week. The Carnival starts on Saturday, and the trendy pick is Jake Lee. That would suck. I'm done with Jake Lee.
Yeah.
I'm done with Jake Lee. Look, Kento Miyahara should win, and he should win a title. I mean, why are we playing these games with these other guys that are never getting over? You know what I mean? Like, Miyahara hasn't – they've kept him out of the title picture for a long time now. He's clearly their biggest star. Just have him win the fucking Carnival and beat this geek for the title when it's over. That's all. Easy peasy. That's what I would do. That's what Joe Lanza is doing. Because he's still the only star.
Mm-hmm.
Jake Lee is not going to happen. And unfortunately, Nomura with the neck. Okay? But he's not there. What are you going to do? So, I mean, that's what I would do as far as the Champion Carnival. I guess we should spend 5 minutes on it. Let me, you got the blocks here, or, hold on, let me see if I can get them real quick.
Yeah, if you can, yeah.
And, so Champion Carnival 2020, the Champion Carnival and the N1 are both very pared down. There's only 6 Champion Carnival shows total. So, and the N1, there's only 8 total shows because the blocks are really pared down. Here is the Champion Carnival. There is 5 men in each block. Rich, the A block is Suwama, Zeus, Jake Lee, Kuma Arashi, and Jiro. The B block is Kento Miyahara, Suji Ishikawa, Yuma Aoyagi, Satoru Ashino, and Yoshitatsu. The B block's the better block in terms of potential matches, for sure.
I honestly like both a lot, to be honest. Looking at this, I like the pared down field a little bit because there is really no filler other than, Jiro, you could say, and I'm not a big fan of Yoshitatsu, but I know he's been, a little bit better. But otherwise, I mean, you look at the roster, it's a pretty, there's a lot of potential for some really, really good matches. I'm with you, though. The B block, definitely, because I'm kind of, I'm iffy on Suwama. I'm sort of iffy on Zeus. But, the bottom end of that A block is pretty awesome with Arashi and I guess Jake Lee, hopefully, maybe, kind of.
Big Arashi guy, huh?
Yeah, I like the look, like the feel.
I mean, here's the thing with the A block. I think Jake Lee could have good matches. I like Zeus. Jiro sucks.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are finally turning on Jiro, and I think that's a good thing because I have no faith that he just doesn't belong in All Japan. It's just not a good fit. Suwama is like, I don't know. I'm never excited about Suwama. That doesn't mean he doesn't always deliver, because sometimes he does. But do you look at Suwama versus Jiro on paper, for example, and think, you know what I mean? Like, I know he could have a good match with Zeus and Jake Lee. Arashi, I'm not as high as you are. He's fine. He's going to go 0-4. He might beat Jiro. But the B block between Kento, Aoyagi, and Ashino, they're all rock solid. Ishikawa has shown signs of decline this year. He's been good in tags and shaky in singles. But against these guys, I think I got to give the big dog his respect. And Yoshitatsu, I think, against these opponents can be good.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Yoshitatsu not to have a good match with Kento Miyahara and with Ashino and yeah, so I'm with you on that one. Aoyagi is pretty awesome too. So yeah, I think the B block, other than because Ishikawa is probably the one guy that I look at and go, yeah, but you would hope that he goes, fuck, I'm in here with these top tier guys. Let me do it. So
would it stun anyone if he has a Renaissance tournament? And no. He could go out there and have 3 or 4 good matches. He's still Suji Ishikawa, and he's the fucking booker, and he keeps pushing himself. So he's gonna
yeah, can we tell? That's kind of bullshit.
So it's
I appreciate the old schoolness of it, but dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, but so that's the pared down Champion Carnival that starts on Saturday. See, this isn't as daunting as you think it is to do all 3. I know I'm working that up as the gimmick. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling.
It's daunting. How daunting is it? Pay Joe $5 to find out. So,
not just the G1 this year. Everybody loves the daily G1 coverage. I feel like I do a nice job with that. So I'm expanding it since all the tournaments are happening at once. I'm just going to do all three. So Champion Carnival, look, it's only 6 shows. And here's the thing, too. 3 of the Carnival shows happen before any of the G1 shows happen. So the Carnival is going to be half over before the G1 even starts. You see what I mean? Like, it's not that bad. Now, there's a couple of hairy days. September 20th, which also happens to be my birthday. I am somehow going to have to watch all 3 tournaments because they're all running shows that day and do all the birthday shit. Whatever TLB's got planned, and do audio for all 3 shows. Rich, that's a tricky day. Okay.
It's going to be a long one. Yeah.
And then the other tricky day is the 23rd, G1 night 3.
That's going to be just a tricky personal day, like you're saying, because like the TLB's can be like, come on, Joe, let's go do it. And you're like, I got to talk about the N1. Like,
I got to do 3 audio shows.
Right. It's not even like just the daunting task of watching all those, recording all those, but doing it while your beautiful wife is trying to do something for your birthday.
Oh, and by the way, it's an NFL Sunday and the Rams are playing.
Oh, God. Well, maybe you could try to parlay that into a combination. Like,
hey, listen, maybe Captain Craich could do the G1 that day. You jumped in on certain.
Yeah, I could do that.
So who knows? We'll figure it out.
Yeah, do all 3. I could do all 3. I'm hardcore, so
maybe you could do all 3. We'll figure it out.
I should not have promised that. I will definitely do the G1.
You offered. You just offered. The 23rd is another tricky one. That's a Wednesday, and it's G1 night 3, N1 night 4, N1 night 5. Doubleheader, and that's the show that they're doing on Fight TV for the N1. Because remember, one of those N1 shows is airing on Fight TV. So there's 3 shows.
They're doing English commentary too. Who's on the call again? Isn't it Sonny Ono and somebody I've never heard of?
Sonny Ono and man, I forget the guy's name. Hold on, I get it for you right
Probably
now.
Probably not good, right? That we've never heard of him. So.
I'm gonna get his name right now. The guy doing the N1 show with Sonny Ono. His name is Rob Hockman. I got a little scoop for you.
Rob. Hi, Rob.
I'm not saying – all I'm saying is there's – how can I phrase this? Because I know they don't want it out there because it's going to – well, maybe I shouldn't say anything. But the that N1 show might be available in more places than Fight. Let me just put it that way.
Interesting. Okay.
Is that fair to say? I don't even think you know this.
I don't even know this. Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about. So, okay.
Yeah, I'll tell you later. But the problem is it's not a good lineup. That's like a really weak
night. It's a weird one that they picked. But, I mean, I'm sure they didn't have any idea, and they just picked whatever they had an opening for. Just said, yeah, give us this one. Give us night, whatever.
And I'm sure Noah thinks that all their cards are good.
Sure.
So it's not like they're like, oh, this is a shitty card. But it is a shitty card. It's not a good N1 lineup. Yeah, but that's the Carnival. And like I said, by the 15th, Rich, by Tuesday, the Carnival's half over. And neither of the other tournaments will have started yet. Okay,
so that's not too bad, actually, then.
Yeah, because
in my brain, it's like all 3 are running at the exact same time, and every night you have to watch 3 of these. But yeah, that's not too daunting. Then it's still nuts. You're absolutely fucking nuts for doing this. But
there's 2 days with 3 shows. And there's 3 other days with 2 shows, but 2 of those days are finals. The Carnival final and the N1 final. So those might even get punted to the Flagship. You see what I mean? Like, I might not do pay audio for the Champion Carnival final and the N1 final because we might do that here. So even those days with double shows
right.
might end up being just a single show. And then, of course, I never do the G1 final behind the paywall because we always do that here. It honestly, looking at it, honest to God, it really doesn't look that – it's not as bad as it looks. I have it all in front of me. It's really not that bad.
Well, and sometimes it's better. Like, I find that it's better if you kind of say, hey, I have to watch this. Because we always talk about it all the time. Like, us wanting to do instant reactions after WWE pay-per-views it's like the best way to watch. Because you're like, you know what, look, if I want to cover this, I'm going to watch all these and the tournament's going to be long or whatever. I got to watch a lot of these live. because trying to catch up, and I do that during G1 season, unfortunately. I try to, like, in past years, I've, skipped a day and said, okay, you skip a day, man, you're so far behind at that point. If you're trying to be a completist, and for the purposes of this show, we kind of have to be completists. We have to watch almost everything we can, or watch every single match that we can, because, it's our job we're doing here. And so that it does become really daunting. So sometimes it is better to say, you know what, I need to watch all these because I have to do a show about them. You know what I mean? Like that, I tend to kind of think that that's a better idea, honestly, even if it sounds on paper like it's terrible, because you're gonna watch this shit anyway. You may as well just watch it in real time. You might actually end up watching, because nothing worse than like a day where you sit down and from fucking 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. you're watching N1 matches from the last 3 weeks. It's like that kind of stinks to do it that way. So
it just helps you keep up.
Yeah, you'll have a better feel for the tournament. You'll have a better feel for the booking. You'll be able to be in the conversation a little bit more. So yeah, and people should listen to those too. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, so you can be in the conversation and follow along as it's going on.
$5 tier, there'll be shows from September 12th till October 17th. Damn. There's only 3 stretches of 3 days in a row. Otherwise, there's always a day off in between every other day. I really thought it was going to be more packed than it was too, but it's not.
That's good. That's good. Well,
if this was a normal carnival in N1, it would be kind of insane to attempt it. But it's not a normal carnival in N1. They're 5-man blocks. So, and look, some of those N1 shows aren't going to have many matches on them because they're spreading them out to 8 shows. I don't know. It's really not that bad. But that'll start Saturday. That starts in 2 days.
Oh, man, we're off and running. Let's go.
The carnival. 3 days of the Saturday and Sunday is the carnival. And then they take Monday off, and then Tuesday is day 3 of the carnival. So it'll be half over by Tuesday. So get in now. It's only the $5 tier. It's not the $10 tier because it's not live. Okay? And you get the carnival coverage those first 3 days. Then the N1 starts on Friday, and, of course, the G1 starts on the 19th on Saturday. Saturday and Sunday will be the G1. Next Saturday and Sunday. 20th. The hell day.
Some in between, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, yeah. I didn't realize that was this quick. Yeah, and then you got my new Series 2 Grade 1, looking at past G1s. That's also on the $5 tier. All the other stuff we do on the $5 tier. So that's a great value. $10 tier is better, though. I wish everybody would just go to $10 tier.
Just do 10. You don't miss anything.
Exactly. You don't have to worry about it. Tell all your friends. Tell their friends. Tell their friends. We're good. $10 tier. So anyway, so that kicks off. Man, that kicks off Saturday already. That's awesome. Let's go. We're ready. Wrestling,
Carnival.
baby. It's back. Let's.
Carnival, yeah. All right, Rich. Before we get to our next topic, it's summertime. Is it still summertime, Rich?
It's gonna be like 80 tomorrow or later in the week. So yeah, sort of. Yeah. What's it by you? What's the temperature by you?
Oh, it's like fucking 98.
Yeah, it's summertime then. Boom. There you go.
It's summertime, and at my bookie, that can only mean one thing. It's winning season. Winning season means doubling your first deposit. Winning season means free bets, super contests, Survivor, and more. At my bookie, winning season is all about your chance to win big. Bet NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball, UFC, NFL. The craziest sports summer of your lifetime is here. It's simple. Make your picks. Win big. Collect your cash. Invest in your intuition. Select from hundreds of future bets. They have future bets, Rich. Or you can bet games in real time with MyBookie's live betting. That can be addictive. Put that big brain of yours to good use. The promo code is VOW and double your first deposit. New players get up to $1,000 in free play, designed to add more excitement to sports you love and the games you bet. Thousands of cross-sport wagers, props, and parlays await. Sign up now to bet with the best and celebrate your victory. Your winning season begins today. Only at MyBookie. Here's the deal. New customers receive 100% deposit match, which means you double your deposit up to $1,000. That means, Rich, if you put $100 in, they're giving you an extra $100 to play with, and they will match that money up to $1,000. I don't know why everybody's not going to mybookie.ag and using promo code VOW and getting free money. They're doubling your money. And then that's what they call in the biz, Rich, a free roll when you can bet with somebody else's money.
Yeah, absolutely. And today would have been a great day to do it. I mean, obviously you're listening to this, so if you haven't jumped on today, that's fine. But think about it. They say the multi-sports parlay. I think you could have honestly parlayed, 5 different sports at once?
You could.
That would have been awesome. I did.
Those parlays add up.
I should have. I've been dabbling a little bit and doing a little bit of MLB and NBA at the same time. That's kind of fun to, be flipping back and forth watching,
Rich, are you ready for the week 1 Lanza lock of the week?
Oh, let's do it. Yeah. Yeah, why not? We got MyBookie as a sponsor for the next 12 weeks. Let's go.
I've got the Stone Cold Lanza lock of the week.
What's your gimmick? What do you have? Like, so is it a giant lock or?
You make a lock sound.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. Yeah.
Right. It's too late for anyone to take advantage of the Stone Cold Lanza lock.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Your Lanza lock of the week is a game that's half over?
Ties into the read, though.
Okay.
Be patient. The Stone Cold Lanza lock of the week is the Kansas City Chiefs plus 54 points against the Houston Texans on Thursday Night Football. You're probably saying, Rich, plus 54 points. Why are the Super Bowl champions getting 54 points at home against Houston? You're probably saying that, right, Rich?
I am definitely saying that. Yeah. What are you talking about?
Well, if people would have signed up at MyBookie with code VOW, they would have seen that all week long MyBookie was offering basically what amounts to free money. They had a special promo bet where you can get the Chiefs plus 54.
Whoa. Damn.
Can you believe that?
What was I doing? Fuck.
You bet your ass Joe Lanza put the maximum $50 bet on the Kansas City Chiefs plus 54 at home against the Houston Texans. And that's another reason why you should sign up to MyBookie, because every now and then they throw you a bone and you get one of those promotional bets. It's a legal, official bet. You could have had the Kansas City Chiefs plus 54 points. Now they cap you at $50, but Rich, let's face it.
I'll take it. Yeah.
That is a free $50. So not only are they doubling your deposit with code VOW, you can get in there and take advantage. Now you got to check out the site every now and then to make sure you don't miss them. But they were offering Chiefs plus 54 all week long. Where else are you going to get that, Rich? You think you're going to get that with your guy down at the corner? You think he's going to give you Chiefs plus 54? Let me tell you something. As someone who was the guy down at the corner,
they're not. Yeah.
I'm not giving you. Yeah, well, not me.
A guy you knew, yeah. Jim Lanza. Yeah.
Yes, but as someone who knows a lot about the guy down at the corner from a past life, you're never getting that kind of, kind of wacky spread from the guy down at the corner. But where you do get that is mybookie.ag, code VOW.
All right, let's briefly touch on MIRO here. So MIRO is all elite. The former Rusev is all elite. He made his debut as the best man, Kip Sabian's best man on Dynamite. You talked about it extensively on the Thursday TV reviews. I think I kind of echo a lot of your thoughts, and maybe in some ways the same as you, and in some ways a little bit different as well. I was initially taken back, as you were, by what he was wearing, and we've been told, oh, it's a Gucci shirt, it's a $600 shirt, and oh, those pants that's what people wear, and it's like, I am fine being the old man, I am fine being somebody that doesn't know anything about fashion, but it's a bad first look. I did not like the first look of MIRO, and the big reason why, and it's not about how much the shirt cost or what brand the shirt is that it immediately pegged him as being, as we said, like the old divorced dad hanging out at a club, the guy who sells mixtapes outside of a concert venue, the guy who's selling you cell phone accessories. Okay, hold on. The nurses ran in here. Okay, you want to see the shirt?
Yes, I heard Gucci.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so Joe and I did not. Joe, your official stance is that you did not don't like the shirt. It looked like pajamas.
My official stance is a lot deeper than that.
Because Joe doesn't like it.
That's fine. I don't like it either, and I'm not high fashion either.
Okay, so it's definitely high fashion.
Hold on a second. How does she know what I wear in any context?
Yeah, how do you know what Joe Lanza wears?
I don't.
I mean, he usually doesn't wear pants while he's doing the show.
I mean, I know enough to know better.
Oh, she does. She's never seen me. How does she know how I dress? How does she know what's in my closet? She has no clue what's in my closet. I could wear tailored suits for all she knows. And I do wear tailored suits. Now, but that's not neither here nor there. See, my take was far more nuanced than simply his clothes, but the clothes were part of it.
Right, yeah. That's the part that's got the nurse interested. So let's
I just want to see the clothes.
Let's see the clothes here. Okay.
I just want to see what you guys are hating on.
This isn't even it's
oh God, where is it on their damn social media?
Seriously?
Okay. I'll find it.
Gucci.
I know.
It's not even about
It's not even about that.
It's not even about
What about the pants? Are the pants
the
Gucci
outfit
too?
necessarily.
I don't know what they are.
Yes,
Okay,
they're
Joe's
they're
right.
Gucci.
They look like pajamas.
pajama pants.
You're right. So I was gonna
Yes,
give
they
you
do.
shit because I have a new manager and he's a very nice dresser. Wears like Louis Vuitton to work every day, and it looks like really nice. This does not. I don't think he would approve of this.
Can you please ask Michelle?
Okay.
If he looks like
she
he
can hear.
has
I gave her
that
part of the
man.
headphones. I gave her part of the headphones, so you can talk to her in real time.
All right, great. I said in real time he looked like he just rolled out of bed. I don't care what the stuff
Yes.
costs. I only care what it looks like.
It looks
Does he
like
look
he
like
did-
he rolled out of bed?
Yes, a fucking $50,000
You can't
bed
swear on the
with
show.
Egyptian
Are you kidding?
sheets.
You
Oh,
can
wait,
swear.
so-
No, yeah, no,
I was
I'm
like,
kidding.
what?
Of course. God, you've heard me.
Okay.
Jesus.
I was like, yes, he rolled out of a bed that costs more than your home, and Egyptian sheets that cost like $3,000. But like, yes, he did just roll out of bed.
He looks like he just rolled out of bed. I
A
mean,
California king bed
A big bed.
Okay.
With a beautiful woman.
Can I-
but,
can
yeah.
with a beautiful lady.
Okay, can I make another point too? Because
Sure. Yes, I'd
everyone's
love to
bringing
hear it.
up
Okay, all right. I'm not even doing the show anymore. Okay, you just.
everyone's bringing up the price of the shirt. It's a $650 Mickey Mouse T-shirt. Okay,
Yes.
can I bring up another? And they're all
Hey,
acting
baby,
like
you want to live in the capitalistic society? All right, here you are. This is what you fucking got.
it's this idea that because the shirt costs $650, I have to accept.
You have to
that
respect
Joe
it as a
sounds
shirt.
like
yeah.
a birdie bro now. You a birdie
No, he's
bro?
he's Yang Gang since day
Yang.
one.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, I could get on that.
But it's like, I don't care how much it costs.
He's saying that if it's a dumb shirt, I don't give a shit if it costs $10,000 or $1.
Couldn't care less. It doesn't matter to me because it has nothing to do with whether he comes across as a star on TV or comes across as a guy who doesn't look like
This
he
is
should
Rusev,
be
by the
wearing.
way. Remember Rusev?
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
interesting. Okay, so yeah. First of all, he's Eastern European. Of course, he loves Gucci because
It's tacky and it looks like shit.
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
That's what I said. I mean, but
I think he's pulling off the pajama-looking pants a little more than some people would. I mean, would I buy them? No, but he's pulling them off for what they are. Does it go with the character? Like, what's the character?
That's a great question.
Oh, I don't know
That's
what
our
the
next
character-
discussion. That's our next discussion.
essence of the point, isn't it?
Okay, so also not a fan of the blonde hair, like black beard thing.
Yes, yeah.
Definitely not a fan of that.
Awful hair.
Kind of has like a stand from
He looks a lot like more fit than when he used to be Rusev.
He's well. You last time you saw him, he was big chubbo, but now he's gotten himself
like,
nice and
he's
tight.
like ripped now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Into
it
the
He
doesn't
got right.
help
He got
that,
tight. Yeah, he's good.
It doesn't help. It doesn't
Guess
help.
Lana
That,
wasn't doing him any favors, huh?
No, she still is.
Oh,
no, here's the thing. It doesn't help that the shirt fits like a tent. It's hiding his physique.
Yeah, I need to show you. Yeah,
you're
the
right.
shirt
We
is. It
should
does,
have a tighter shirt. You're right, Joe. Same shirt, 2 sizes smaller.
Exactly.
Roll the sleeves up. Then we're talking.
Sun's out, guns out.
Sun's out, guns
Right.
out. Yeah.
He's a pro wrestler. You're
And then
supposed to
maybe,
enhance
like,
your features.
If we had the same pants, but a more tapered fitted jogger instead of baggy.
He looks like a slob. I
I
don't
get
care how
ya.
much it costs.
All right, I see what you're saying. I get it.
just that he looks like a guy who sells cell phone accessories at the
He
mall.
does very much so look that way. Yes, I would agree with that.
And
I
I wanna
wouldn't
make
say
one
you were
more
wrong.
point. Everyone keeps saying the shirt's $650. Can we stop acting like that's $1 million?
That's
It's
true.
not like it's like
I think he
I'm
got
not even that-
taken. I think he got taken because I think he's an idiot for buying that shirt for $600. But okay,
I'm not even that impressed with the price. It's
Yeah,
not like
he's
it's
saying-
not like it.
It's Gucci. It should be like a
Yeah.
grand, right?
I mean, that's
yeah,
not
like
even
that's
an
clear.
impressive
Like
point.
$650. That's clearance Gucci shit.
I mean, look. I'm not. I probably shouldn't say that. What I was gonna say was I got suits way more than that in a closet. I mean, it's not that. It's not that impressive to be wearing a $600 shirt. That's the other thing, especially when it looks like shit. When you're supposed to be an intimidating pro wrestler, you're wearing a
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse shirt.
He looks like and like the long hair don't care vibe is already taken by Orange Cassidy, so you can't play that game.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, thank you for your help, nurse. Because
Yeah,
I think
gotta go eat like some taco dip and shit. So.
let's keep in mind that she wanted to bury us, but she ended up agreeing.
yes,
Yeah, you're
yes.
right. I came to bury you, and here I am digging you out.
Tremendous segment.
There
I
you go.
enjoyed
Thank
it.
you. Enjoy your taco dip.
Thank you. It's really good.
Is it good? That's all that matters. So, all right, there we go. So you said it. It wasn't even me. You can't even say, oh, Rich, he's just an old, dumb white guy. He doesn't know anything. Yeah. No. An old, dumb white girl just told you that. It's true. Yeah.
I'm old and dumb and white, but I'm a female.
Damn right. High fashion.
The point I tried to stress.
Okay, what are you doing? Get out of
And
here.
I buy my clothing from Target, so yeah.
So she would know, yeah.
It's a good point.
Doesn't buy all of her clothes from Target. Don't let her fool you there.
Oh, Rich would know. He's running that checkbook over there.
Yeah, trust me. Trust me.
Yeah.
It ain't all Target, I'll tell you that.
Listen, as I tried to stress behind the paywall, it's not even about the outfit necessarily because, Rich, okay, did you listen to the paywall audio? I hope you didn't.
I did not. No, I actually did not.
Can I make this point?
Not because I was an asshole. You released it like 10 minutes before we started the show.
I know.
So, yeah. Okay.
No, I'm glad you didn't because this is like a fresh point that you can hear for the first time. It's not even about those particular garments. It's not even about what he was wearing. It's that he was wearing it. Let me ask you this. If Ricky Starks or Jack Evans or Private Party or somebody like Teddy Hart was wearing the exact same outfit, would we even be having this conversation?
Oh, God, no.
And why is that? Because it fits their aura, correct?
Yeah, well, and that's
the problem here. Not necessarily the outfit itself. It doesn't fit what got him over in pro wrestling to begin with. That's the problem here. It's like Ric Flair would have never gotten over as one half of the Road Warriors. That's not his aura. Stan Hansen would have never gotten over as the Nature Boy. And this is all wrong for Rusev / Miro. This same outfit could work for 100 different wrestlers.
Sure, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, and this is where you and I might differ from people that say, no, it's great, it's cool, I like it, it's $600, it's Gucci, you're old, you don't know what's nice. Is like, okay, at the end of the day, if you are totally fine with Miro being Twitch streamer guy that's here to hang out and have fun, then you might not mind that he was wearing a Disney Mickey Mouse Gucci t-shirt and pajama pants that had Mickey Mouse on it. Then, okay, if he's Twitch guy that's here to have fun, okay, that's fine. I don't want Miro to be Twitch guy that's here to have fun. I'm not signing Miro. Miro isn't hashtag all elite if he's going to be Twitch streamer guy that's just here to have fun. Well, that's not what I want out of him. I think that's a gross misuse of his talent, his skill, his look, and what he can bring to the table. So if that's the goal, if the goal was we want to create a character that's Twitch streamer guy that's here to hang out and have fun, then mission accomplished. But I think that fucking sucks.
Viva la Rusev!
That's right. Rusev Machka is what got the man over. Another good point by the nurse. No, I completely agree. I think that if he wants to be Twitch streamer guy who, is...
Which he might, because that was the whole... Half of his promo was about how he was on Twitch, and then the other half was, I'm here to brass rings and all that. It was the promo too, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a sec. The promo too really had me worried because half of it was serious guy that's ready to go kick ass, and then he would smile and kind of hug and laugh and look at the crowd, and I'm like, what are you? What are you supposed to be? What am I? Because at the end of the day, you look like Twitch streamer guy. Excalibur goes, oh, that's Miro. He's big on Twitch. And then he hugs Kip Sabian. They go, yeah, they're both on Twitch. And I'm like, oh, my God.
It's concerning because,
because
the announcers are hammering that home.
And he did, too, in his promo. I think he said something like, you watch me on Twitch. And I'm like, da-da-da. I'm like, all right, first off, dude. I don't mean to besmirch what Miro's doing on, Twitch or whatever. But more people will listen to this podcast than usually jump on in his Twitch streams. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that.
That's a fact.
If that's going to be your thing, you might want to be like really, really good at it. He averages like 150 to 200 people. Like, more people are listening to us bury him about this than watch his Twitch streams. I'm just saying.
The bottom line is that for this guy and what he is and what his aura is supposed to be all about, Twitch streamer who wears Gucci X Mickey Mouse is not going to get him over. He's going to be a mid-carder for life if that's what he wants to be. If he's controlling his own creative and carting it's a mistake. That's not what got him over to begin with. That's not what he was when people were clamoring for him to be pushed harder. He was a Haas. He was an ass kicker. He was, and look, I'm not writing the guy off forever.
Oh, God, no. But we have to react to this first week. It's a first impression.
That's right. Maybe this was just a bad debut and he could pivot off of this. Maybe he beats up Kip Sabian next week. Maybe his wrestling gear is more shows off what his strengths are and look, it's an aesthetic business. Don't hide your physique when that's a key component of what you are. And that's what he did. He hid his physique under pajamas. I don't care how much they cost. He hid his physique under pajamas. Okay, and that was a mistake. But he might come out next week and wrestle a match and beat the shit out of somebody and look great in the ring. He could recover from this. The debut was terrible. And it's not the way that someone like him should be pushed. Ric Flair shouldn't be a road warrior. And fucking Rusev should not be a Twitch guy who's, where all the talk the next day is about his Yeezys. That's a mistake. That may have worked for someone else. I named a bunch of wrestlers that I think that would work for.
Sure.
It doesn't work for him. Okay?
Unless this is his thing, and then I think that's a gross misuse of him.
Exactly. It's going to ensure that he does not get over at a main event level, is what it's going to do. And look, if he's going to be mid-card Miro, it's fine. If he's going to be mid-card Miro, then his introduction was fine.
Sure.
If that's all he's going to be. But, I mean, it's like tailored suits work great for Nick Aldis or Cody or, 1985 Ric Flair. Tailored suits don't work so great for, I don't know, name someone who tailored suits would not necessarily work great for. It's
Steve
like
Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. So it's like, it's not one size fits all ever with this stuff.
Right.
That's the point. It's not about those particular clothes. And that wasn't even the worst part of the presentation. He's being introduced with Kip fucking Sabian.
Yeah, that's a bad sign at first.
They're pounding the Twitch stuff. We should never know.
Yeah, I would have been fine if he walked out and then fucking slammed Kip Sabian on the ground and said, I'm not your best man, I'm no one's best man. I'm fucking Miro, and I'm here to, put AEW on notice. That's a different. Snarled into the camera and ripped that $600 shirt in half. I mean, that's how you get Rusev over. This was a layup. They bricked a layup with this. And the problem is, Rich, I don't know if he wants it. He can talk about brass rings and glass ceilings all he wants, but he's out there with a shit-eating grin on his face. He does not look like he's taking this seriously to me. He looks like a guy who got offered a big fat check that he couldn't turn down. Okay? And someone in that room has to say to him, this is not an ideal way to present what we want you to be. It does not fit. He had no star presence whatsoever. None. Every ounce of charisma he ever had was gone instantly the minute he stepped out of that tunnel. Between the hair and the Twitch stuff getting pounded in, and the fact that he's out there with Kip Sabian in a comedy segment that featured Puff. Let me ask you this, Rich. If I told you a month ago that Rusev signed with AEW, and I told you, here's how he's going to debut. He's going to debut in a comedy segment that features Puff with Kip Sabian. No, stop.
And
I don't know.
And the essence of his character is going to be his Twitch streams, and he's going to look like he's wearing pajamas. Would you buy or sell that?
I would sell the fuck out of that.
Anyone would. But there's people pretending this came off well. And again, this doesn't mean you write the guy off forever.
No,
I don't know what they're
not.
doing next week. But this was not a good start. And to me, he came across like these guys who leave WWE, you expect big things, and then you quickly realize that WWE might have had the right idea.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Spears comes to mind. Damian Sandow comes to mind. Where you see them in other places,
Yeah, Jack Swagger.
left to their own devices.
Jack Swagger's a perfect example, too.
Yeah. And you see them left to their own devices, and you're like, oh, maybe the company wasn't wrong to put a cap on this guy.
Oh, I told you the second I saw Jack Swagger when he walked out at AEW. I remember the show. It was him versus Michael Elgin. He came out wearing basketball shorts and a T-shirt, and I just went, fuck. God damn it. And then proceeded to have a horrendous match. Just a terrible match. And I just knew. He walked out. He was fat. He was out of shape. He was wearing basketball shorts. Like, not even like, like literal like basketball shorts that you wear to go to bed or whatever. And I was just like, oh no. Like, backup basketball shorts. Not even like training basketball shorts. And yeah, it was just like, oh.
How is any of this playing to Miro's strengths? Isn't pro wrestling about emphasizing strengths and hiding?
That's what I thought, but
I mean, honestly, how is any of this playing to his strengths? And forget, I'm not even talking about the close anymore. The entire debut.
I don't know.
How did
we're old?
Any
I guess
of it
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It just like you said, in no way, shape, or form could you sell this to somebody 6 months ago and they'd be fine with it.
No,
but
not
people
chance.
are telling themselves that they're fine with this, and it's like I don't know. Like,
it's like, you know, even if you think the clothes look good, who am I to judge someone else's fashion? But it's a pro wrestling show.
Yeah, national
TV. That's the difference here. You know, what you wear to the club or the mall may not translate to what you wear on TV, and it may not and not every look is going to translate to every wrestler. It's all. This did not work for him. You know, and I could think of wrestlers that look may have worked for, but not for him. This is a bad way to present him. I don't know. I said enough behind the paywall.
That's it.
I do 20 minutes on this on the TV reviews. I think I lay out my case pretty well. And and maybe this is on us for thinking that this guy was going to be a big star if he got out of WWE. Maybe he's just a mid-card guy. Maybe that's what he is. I'm not confident in his promo ability after last night either.
No, neither am I. And that's like I said, full disclosure, like I'm fine within 3 months from now being like, yeah, sure, this was the right idea for him because he's just going to be a Twitch streamer guy that's just here to having fun with Kip Sabian. Like, but I think he's got more than that. I think he has more potential, and I think that there is a lot more to unlock with him. And maybe I'm going to be wrong, and maybe there isn't more to unlock with him, and maybe this is the best way to debut him, and this is what he needs to be. It's just I can tell you I'm disappointed. I mean, first impressions are, okay, here we go. This is this guy finally free of WWE, free of the brass ring, free of the, you know, the chains or the sleeping in the same bed or whatever the hell whatever analogy he used or whatever. Well, okay, but you know, I don't know. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is what it's going to be.
He said all of the right words, but he had the energy of a sloth. I mean, it just.
Well, I think what was telling for me is that he would cut that. He would do the line, he'd scream the line, and then he would just like smile and look to the crowd, in kind of like a I'm so happy to be here thing. Which is fine.
It's fake intensity.
Yeah, but then it leads me to believe, okay, because the real you was the guy smiling walking out. The real you was the guy smiling and hugging Kip Sabian and gesturing to the crowd and stuff. And then he would snap into like, and he would almost have his little Bulgarian, you know, a little bit more of an accent. And he would say, oh, you know, I've been sleeping in the brass ring. And then he would stop and go, smile, laugh. And I'm like, okay, that's not, the intensity is fake then at this point.
Yeah, the problem with the real Rusev is he might be a fun guy to be around in real life, but that's not conducive to the best version of his pro wrestling.
Right. And at the end of the day, you're trying to get people to watch TV and buy pay-per-views. Is anybody pre-ordering full gear because he walked out in a Gucci Mickey Mouse shirt?
Not a single person.
Not a soul telling us. Nobody is watching Dynamite every single week now because MIRO came out in a Disney shirt. That was $600. Nobody is watching the show every single week because of that. So it's like, it's not that hard. I mean, you got to think, what is the goal here with pro wrestling? What is the goal here? And the goal should be to create stars. And I don't know. It remains to be seen that you made him a star here. So
he had no charisma, no star presence, and it was the whole total package of how he was presented. I mean, he just came across like beneath a jag, not even a jag, like just a guy with nothing to offer. In terms of star power, he had no star presence. He didn't come across tough. How do you debut Rusev and he doesn't come across tough? It's a layup. I don't understand it. But when your body's hidden and you're smiling and hugging Kip Sabian in a comedy segment, you know, none of his strengths were exploited. So bad start from Miro for sure. Awful start.
All right, let's get to a few other topics here before we bid adieu. Let's start with this one. We wanted to talk about this last week, but we ended up running out of time, so we'll bump it up here. Gabe Sapolsky officially done with WWN and the Indies. Here's a press release / direct message he sent to numerous people. It said, quote, with WWN announcing the new Eddie Kingston Grindhouse show on September 26th, it is the right time for me to clearly state that I have parted ways with WWN. This is an amicable and mutually decided. I look forward to seeing new minds and ideas come to the forefront on the independent scene. I feel Eddie Kingston is perfect to lead the charge. I still love working with talent, have passion for talent development, and enjoy the bell-to-bell aspect of putting on shows. However, the downtime due to COVID-19 has made me realize how much I don't miss the day-to-day aspects of running an independent wrestling promotion. I no longer have the drive to continue the constant grind of running an independent wrestling promotion. I consider myself retired as an independent wrestling promoter and booker. I want to give my most heartfelt and sincere thank you to everybody who has supported any independent promotion I was associated with over the years. I also give my deepest gratitude to everyone who worked with me. So he ends here. Thank you for all the good times. I'm excited to follow independent wrestling as a fan. I hope I can be a positive influence and help talent. I look forward to seeing most of you again down the road. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, the story here to me is bigger than Gabe Sapolsky. I mean, he's got his WWE job, and we all know that. And you listen to what I mean, it does sound daunting to try to run independent wrestling during all this COVID bullshit.
God, yeah, dude, anytime it's daunting. I can't believe to be honest.
And it's like, if you get a chance to cash out your chips and sell that tape library and never have to worry about it again, I can't blame him. But the story's bigger than that. To me, and we've touched on this on some past shows, but I really want to get into specifics this time, and it might hurt some feelings, but I don't care. To me, the loss of Gabe Sapolsky on the independent scene leaves a gigantic gaping hole that has yet to be filled, and I don't think will be filled by any of the major players in independent wrestling right now. So I don't think they're interested in filling it, and I don't think they're capable of filling it. So, and I'm going to get into specifics, but there is nowhere on the high-level indies right now where independent wrestlers can properly develop. And that is something that Gabe Sapolsky has been providing the independent scene since 2002, whether it's Ring of Honor or Dragon Gate USA or Evolve or even places like FIP when he was involved down there and whatnot. Because Gabe Sapolsky, no matter what you think of his booking, is a booker. He's going to book his shows. He's going to put people in storylines. He's going to have long-term and short-term directions. And I'm not here to debate the quality of his booking. That's not the point of this discussion. The point of this discussion is that is where wrestlers, particularly when they get to the top level of indies, that's sort of the finishing school. That's what helps them develop and get them ready for the next level. Okay, that doesn't, without Gabe's promotions, if you look at the indie scene right now, that doesn't exist anymore. Places like the high-profile places like Game Changer or Black Label Pro, and I'm going to name specifics in this discussion. They do a lot of matchmaking, Rich, but they don't do any booking. These Game Changer shows every weekend are the same 12 people reshuffled into singles matches against each other that have no stakes, that don't mean anything, that have no long-term or even short-term direction. You're just wrestling the next body the next weekend.
Right.
The matches almost never have any structure. You're just sent out there to get your shit in. There's always a scramble. There's usually a death match. And there's one storyline going on in that entire company, and it's Nick Gage and RSP. And that's on hold because Nick Gage is hurt. And these shows are great for exposure. Awesome for exposure. Terrible for development. You're getting no direction. You're not given anything to sink your teeth into in terms of storylines or promos or anything like that. And you're just going out there and doing your spots and hoping to get noticed. And this isn't just a Joe Lanza rant, and you're privy to this, Rich. I've had this same conversation with multiple people inside indie wrestling, who obviously I'm not going to name, and I can't name them. People inside indie wrestling I've had this conversation with, and they've agreed with me. And these people don't even like Gabe. But they agree that the loss of Gabe leaves a gaping hole in that regard. There's no place to go at that top level where you're going to get booked into programs and work long-term feuds and get to do promos and have direction on what to do in a match. Okay, in this match, we're kicking off a program and you're going to go over and I want it to go 11 minutes and I want this story to be told. That's not happening on the indies. There's a lot of matchmaking and a lot of silliness and a lot of bullshit, but no one's booking anything. And it's impeding development. And there's people inside indie wrestling who agree with me. And they don't even like Gabe. But that's besides the point. They agree that Evolve is a place you can go where you can learn and sink your teeth into something. And be involved in a promotion where there's actual booking taking place. And that makes a wrestler think and work on a different level. Oh, I know I'm going to be paired up with this guy for the next 6 months, and this is going to be the end result of that. and then I'm going to do this and he's going to do that. How do we get there? What do we do in this match to set up the next match? What do I say in my promo?
Yeah, every match you have to approach differently, than you would if this is just a random showcase match. It's just a match I have this weekend. Let me do my shit and get out of there.
It's not just, okay, Blake Christian, go out there and do your shit.
Right.
Oh, we're just putting all you guys in a scramble again tonight. It's you know what I mean? And
there was an egregious one from this weekend too, where Alex Colon, who won the Tournament of Survival, 2 weeks ago, is in the second match against Chris Dickinson and just gets, killed and loses. It's just like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
You're not going to build off that? You're not going to, keep that momentum going? It's just okay.
It's poor. Look, there's no booking effort put into Game Changer at all. Guy wins a tournament, just comes out, loses the next match. I mean, I'm just going to come out and say it. Game Changer stinks. It's not good. Like, I get why people like it, but it's poorly booked. There's no effort put into the booking. Okay? It's a place for exposure, for sure. And I'll give them credit for emerging in the scene and being the biggest indie, and they do have a fan base, but people are there to drink beer and have fun. And look, it's not, here's the thing, Rich, it's not even Game Changer's fault. They need to do what's best for them.
Yeah, I honestly think that they fit a pretty nice niche and a pretty cool niche. You just wish that there were other companies in the scene that could because, like, I don't mind if you want to turn your brain off and watch, a Game Changer wrestling show for a few hours on a Saturday or whatever. But them being the top indie, the de facto top indie, people saying, oh, well, they'll fill the gap that, was left by Evolve, or they'll fill the gap that was left by, Ring of Honor not being what it used to be, or whatever.
So wrong.
They're operating on a different, PWG, who will probably never be the same again either. Like, it's operating on a completely different level. They have their niche and they're good at their niche, and I think they do a decent enough job. It's not my style of wrestling. It's not the wrestling that I'm going to get invested in. But do I find myself, bored on a Saturday, watching a Game Changer show, or, a week after, saying, let me put this on as background noise. I do. Like, I don't mind it from that standpoint, but like you're saying, it's just not, it doesn't fill that gap. It just it exists in its own universe, but it doesn't fill the gap that I think you and I and many other people are looking for on the indies.
And I think it's bad. I think it's bad that the wrestlers don't have places where they can develop either. And I'm not letting PWG off the hook, because I think PWG is Game Changer with better work rate. They don't book anything either except at the top.
Yeah. There was just one story almost the entire time. The glory years of PWG had like one or two stories tops ever.
I see all these people saying, oh, Game Changer is going to fill that Evolve role. They're nothing like Evolve. They couldn't be more different. No matter what you think of Evolve or Game Changer, they couldn't be more different. Game Changer has more similarities with PWG, where PWG is just an all-star show, and they're putting together the best work rate matches possible, and you're lucky to get one storyline at the top built around the title. That's exactly what Game Changer is. They do a lot of matchmaking and very little booking. And again, it's not Game Changer's responsibility to help develop indie talents. It's their responsibility to book the best possible shows that they can that are going to make them the most money. That's it. So I'm not coming down on them and telling them that they have some kind of responsibility to change the way they do things. Why would they listen to me? They're doing great. They should keep doing whatever they're doing for the sake of their business and their fan base who eat it up. What I'm saying is there's a gaping hole in the indie scene, and a lot of that is because Gabe Sapolsky is not involved anymore. Because you had 20 years of Gabe Sapolsky promotions where no matter what you think of Gabe, wrestlers at the very top of the indie level went to his promotions for that final step in their development, and usually from there went on to contracts in whatever company you want to name. And there is no place right now to fill that gap. I mean, you look at BLP that gets a lot of attention. Why did Calvin Tankman get a title shot a couple of weekends ago? It was his debut match. No story even attempted to be told. There's no booking happening in these companies. They're just matchmaking. And again, it's not BLP's responsibility to develop Calvin Tankman. That's not what I'm saying. But that it's not happening. What BLP does is just puts together the most zany matchups they can.
Right. And
wacky intergender stuff and fun stuff that their fans are going to eat up, or the biggest, nastiest, fucking toughest guy in the locker room versus the cutest little girl. That's the kind of stuff they do. And their fans like that. That's fine. But again, who's filling the gap? What's the indie promotion right now that's doing long-term booking, even short-term booking, putting their wrestlers in programs, producing promos, letting people cut 3 or 4 minute promos and sink or swim and learn how to cut a promo in the ring in front of fans, in the back in front of a camera, because those are two different things. Where's any of this happening? And it's a problem. And regardless of what my tastes are in indie wrestling or your taste, my point here is that there is a giant gap left behind by what Gabe was providing to the scene. And I got 2 different people inside of wrestling who don't even like him to agree with me on that. Because it's the truth. So I think that's the biggest loss. Not that we don't have Evolve shows anymore. The biggest loss is that no one is filling that gap in independent wrestling.
And nobody seems to be in a hurry to do it either. I think that's one of the big issues too, is that Gabe was probably the last of a generation. And locally, for me, I 2 local companies that I have that I think do a decent enough job of it, but probably aren't ready to like step up to the plate in terms of being like the main, like AAW I think does a decent enough job of it. I mean, there was times where they were all these sorts of stories and booking or whatever, and then they became a super indie because, they could book super indie talent. Like, why wouldn't you book Chris Hero and Pentagon and Zack Sabre Jr. and all these guys? And they did that for a while, but then once those guys started getting signed, they got back into becoming, show-to-show story type stuff. And yeah, if you go to AEW, if you watch AEW, I think it was like 2 years ago or maybe last year where you watched almost every AEW show, I think they do a pretty good job of it. Freelance wrestling as well in Chicago, I think they do a pretty damn good job of keeping some stories going throughout the up and down of the card and booking to that standpoint where they have what feels like, kind of a consistent roster that comes in and things kind of build off of one another and people kind of move up and move down or whatever. So there are some of those, and there's probably a few local examples that people can bring up, but it doesn't, that niche that you're talking about is like that indie that's clearly a step ahead of the rest of the field, but clearly not a major that's ready to kind of be the finishing school for guys as they're ready to go to a place where Ben Carter would go instead of getting scooped up by, AEW or WWE at this point. Like, he would go to that company, refine himself, and be ready to go then in a few years, become a top star or whatever.
He's a picture-perfect example of a guy who Gabe would get a hold of and finish off.
Yeah.
And it's like, now I know the landscape is different because there's a half a dozen companies offering contracts and everybody gets signed too soon. That's just a product of the environment. That's just going to happen when you have 6 different companies or whatever. Look, you got WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, New Japan, and probably someone MLW, all throwing around various degrees of contracts to guys. Everyone's going to get signed too soon. I get it. And, that's another part of the problem too. And it's I don't begrudge anyone for signing, and I don't begrudge the companies for signing people. It's competitive, and that's good. But the development is lacking. And it's because a lot of the higher profile places, look, I'll tell you one place. When Uncharted Territory was a thing, Beyond was doing a nice job.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Week to week storylines, long-term stuff over the course of their seasons. But now that Uncharted Territory just isn't a thing during COVID and may not be a thing ever again, they've gotten away from that. And their shows have fallen into the same trap of just matchmaking. And it's a tricky situation because it sounds like I'm burying these promotions, and in some ways I obviously am, because what's my incentive to keep watching Game Changer? The shows are the same every time, and there's no hook, there's no stories or hooks to bring me back. It's just, who's the alley cat going to wrestle this weekend in a meaningless match where the outcome does not matter? And from, a personal taste standpoint, I don't find them interesting at all. But from a talent development standpoint, and there's just, there's no one on the scene who's really booking pro wrestling anymore at the top level of the indies. A lot of Dylan Hale's adjacent promotions in the South are doing that kind of stuff. And surprise, surprise, where did Ben Carter come out of?
Mm-hmm.
Why is he the hottest prospect in the independents? I mean, because he was developed properly. And I've talked about it a million times. I watched him work 6-minute squashes. I watched him work matches where he sold the leg. I watched him work spot fests. I watched him work all kinds of different matches throughout, coming up. And then he comes to Game Changer and he's working scrambles. And you just bang your head against the wall. And it's like, these promotions don't even have titles. I mean, what are we doing? It's like Beyond and Game Changer don't even really have titles. And it's like, it's how can you give these wrestlers something to sink their teeth into? And again, while it sounds like I'm burying the promotions, I concede It's not their responsibility to worry about this shit. They need to produce shows that make them the most money. And if fans are going to eat this stuff up from these places, then that's what they need to do. But I mean, I really wish there was a promotion at that level of the indies where the top people can go and really be involved in something interesting. Not just for my own personal taste, because I'm dying for an indie like that, because we don't have one anymore. And hopefully with AAW coming back, they're my hope. Because like you mentioned, they do some of that stuff. And Freelance does too. They're kind of out of my radar for, you know what I mean? Like I don't watch them on a show and show out.
I will say about the Freelance, and it might be the deterrent to you, is that they do tell those stories, but the roster tends to be a little bit more on the Black Label Pro.
And that's why I can't. Yeah,
that
that's
side.
Exactly.
It's a little bit more the goofy side. They do. I'll give them credit. They do tell the stories, and when they do tell good top level stories, they are good. But like the roster itself, I think you are going to be more of an AEW guy than a Freelance guy because of just the roster.
Yeah, and that's fine, you know. And that's just my taste. But I feel like AEW does, when they get rolling, they do book, you know, and they are what I would call at times a super indie based on the talent that they use. Sometimes they're more of a local that use the top Midwest guy, but at other times, wouldn't you classify them as the super indie of the Midwest during different periods of their existence? I mean, that's how I viewed them based on the talent that they were bringing.
Yeah.
You know, they were kind of like what I had down here with Wrestle Circus, where, you know, they were bringing in talent from all over the country as opposed to just the Texas talent, you know, and there's room for everyone, obviously, but it's like they're kind of I'm going to have my eye on AAW. I'm not going to lie, when they come back and they are, you know, starting to advertise their comeback, aren't they? Did they give a date, or they ran a teaser video or
there's
something?
A teaser video. Yeah. No details. I got stonewalled when I asked, so I'm not sure what's
because listen, I am dying. We'll just leave that hanging, but I'm just dying to have an indie to sink my teeth into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to happen with these matchmaker promotions that don't put any effort into their booking.
Right.
And I do think it's a detriment to the scene that we don't have any, you know, and I think the bloom is kind of coming off the rose with Game Changer from that perspective, where I think people try to get into it because it's the top game in town right now and everything, but it's like people are watching this stuff. And I just had a long conversation on Twitter with a bunch of good fans. We're all trying to get into it. They don't let us. What is there to get into on those shows? From a nerdy pro wrestling, you know, perspective. And I feel like I wouldn't be so down on some of these promotions if we had other promotions that were doing something else in terms of better long-term booking and telling more stories and those sorts of things. And it doesn't exist. So this conversation isn't necessarily specifically about Gabe Sapolsky. It's just a reminder that the things he was doing over the last 18 years are no longer there at that level, and I don't see anyone stepping in to replace that.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a desire. These, you know, new companies that prop up and new companies that come up, the direction isn't, you know, here are these really cool stories we're telling. It's, hey, here's these pretty cool guys we can book. It's like everyone's kind of stuck in that super indie thing that was happening a few years ago, but just without the talent of the super indie. And instead it's, you know, we're booking a bunch of guys and they're going to do a bunch of stuff and then it's over. And it's like, that's fine. That's okay. But like, that gets boring after a while. And the talent's there. The horses aren't there. You could do super indie when you had Chris Hero and Pentagon and Zack Sabre Jr. and Kelly O'Reilly and Roderick Strong and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano and, you know, Ricochet and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the list can go on and on and on. Those guys aren't there anymore. Like, you're at a point now where you're going to have to develop, you have to make the most out of guys. You have to accentuate the positives, hide the negatives, make the most out of the guys that are on these indies and do it. But, you know, people don't want to. People don't want to invest in that because it takes a while. Then you have to have a show where sometimes a guy that's good might have a match that's not great because you're trying to tell a story. And it seems like everyone's terrified of doing that. Everyone's terrified of just having a show where maybe it's not a very good show because, you know, you were telling, you know, this story or booking this or whatever. And I don't know if that's the fear, or people are just lazy and they realize, hey, you know what, here's 13 names. You can click on a bunch of graphics on our Twitter account and you'll come anyway. So you're cool. Thanks. Bye.
Like, I mean, full disclosure, because he works here, but how great was the Brandon Thurston, Daniel Garcia stuff?
Fantastic.
Would I have ever watched Empire Wrestling ever if they had not done something like that?
No.
Why would I? It's in Buffalo, New York. I can't go to the shows. They're using regional talent. But that got me into their promotion for 6 months there when they told that simple, tremendous pro wrestling story, which did a ton for a guy like Daniel Garcia. You know what I mean? It's like, we're not getting that at the top level, quote unquote, national indies. And I don't even know if a lot of these places consider themselves national indies, but if all your shows are on independent wrestling TV and you're using all the top talent, that's what you are. And I just feel like, I know this is going to be taken as me trashing all these places, but I really don't think it's their problem. I'm just explaining that it doesn't exist and that no one's filling that hole. I'm not saying that fucking BLP Mikey or whatever the fuck needs to change his booking philosophy. Have I said that?
No, God, no. Yeah, you do your thing. We just want somebody to emerge from the scene saying, hey, I'm going to be different than everything else that's going on right now.
And just run a legitimate, legitimate's a shitty word to use, but just run a traditional pro wrestling promotion where, there's stakes and there's actual booking taking place and we're seeing people develop, and we, as fans, we have something to sink our teeth into. Because I'm not saying there's no place for this other style. There clearly is. And again, I think PWG is the same problem, just with better wrestling. But it's the same issue. They're not a great place to develop either. They're just an all-star show. We've had that conversation a million times. PWG is an all-star show. It's what they are. That's their place in the ecosystem. Game Changer's place in the ecosystem is crack open a beer and watch people do stupid things and have a good time.
And we defend, back in the day, we would defend PWG when people would say, oh, it's ridiculous, because we're like, well, why not? Just it's fine. Like, we didn't care because there were those other options. There were
correct.
So I never had an issue with what PWG did. When others did, when others said, oh, and that's the thing. It's like, I'm not being a hypocrite. I'm just saying I had no issue with PWG at the time because why not book an all-star show? Why? Of course, book an all-star show. But then it was like, hey, I can watch PWG to see a bunch of dudes over a weekend do a bunch of crazy great matches that don't mean anything. And then, the next week I could watch, Evolve, where it's going to be a story stuff, or I'll watch this, or I'll watch that. There was other options of that. And now that there isn't, it's just everybody doing, quote unquote all-star shows, but they're doing it without all-stars. And that's the part that really, to me, kind of, yeah, it has me a little bit down on it and stuff, and it's honestly, I'm really glad. It's a big reason why I'm glad that Champion Carnival and N1 and G1 and all that stuff sort of firing up and getting going, because I've been watching a lot of American Indies and it's just nothing is clicking with me, nothing is landing at all. So
every time I try, and I try because of this show and what we do, and you have to keep your finger on the pulse of everything. I'll watch for a couple weeks and then I have to stop watching because it just doesn't hold my interest, and then the cycle just repeats. And look, that's a me and you problem, admittedly. But the point here is there is a gigantic gap left in the scene. And I think it's bad for fans, and I also think it's bad for the wrestlers. And, it's like you say there's no talent, and these are all-star shows, but they're more like meme all-star shows, right? The meme wrestlers, the deathmatch wrestlers, because everyone says, well, that's all that's left. Everyone else gets signed. Well, the Carl Fredericks of the world and the Ben Carters, they're coming from somewhere. Okay? Maybe we're not looking hard enough. How is AEW finding all these guys in North Florida and Georgia? Where are they finding Will Hobbs and Lee Johnson and Alan Angles? Okay? And where is New Japan finding Clark Connors and Carl Fredericks and all the guys that they find on the West Coast? The talent is out there. There's no place for the solid professional wrestler to go to anymore. And again, this will be taken the wrong way too, because the spots are taken up by The Alley Cat and Dan the Dad and Danhausen, and good for them, because they've all carved out nice careers, and they're getting it. That's my point here, is there should be places for those people to go, and there should be high profile places for other kinds of talent to go. But everyone is booking the same kind of talent right now in promotions that are just matchmaker promotions with no storylines or booking to speak of. They're all the same. At their core, Beyond and Game Changer and Black Label Pro are the same. They use all the same people, and they all book the same way, with the exception of when Uncharted Territory is going strong. Because I thought he did a tremendous job with that. That was exactly what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And we watched every week. You can't say we didn't support it. We talked about it every single week when it was going.
Bringing in cars from different areas, too. And again, the Brandon Thurston, Jay Freddy thing, which, again, was fantastic. Full disclaimer, he works here, but whatever. It was good. Brandon was my favorite indie wrestler of 2019.
Oh, he was great. Yeah, just telling great stories, having good matches. Yeah, it's not hard. It's pretty easy.
And it's like, if you think I'm being biased, was he my favorite wrestler in any other year? I mean, but last year he was great, and he was doing interesting things. So it's like, we need more places, and then maybe, because I still believe that there's talent out there, because we see places find these guys, but they have nowhere to go except their local promotions. There needs to be more high-profile places which both give people exposure and allow them to develop as workers. And we don't have it now. And the loss of Gabe Sapolsky just enhances that. No matter what you think of Gabe Sapolsky, you cannot deny that he was a true pro wrestling booker, no matter what you thought of his booking or his business acumen or the way he treated you. I'm not talking about any of that. It just exemplifies this gap we have. And I think that's hurting because, Rich, I'm telling you, there are other Ben Carters out there. There are other Alan Angles and Will Hobbs and Lee Johnsons and Carl Fredericks out there.
Yeah, they're there. I mean, because there was times where I'd say, "Oh no, there's no one there," but then AEW keeps finding them. They keep popping up in places here and there. They're there. It's just a matter of, and even if they're not there, you make them there. You know what I mean? Like you accentuate those positives. You make the most out of a guy. You get a guy and you're okay. What do you do well? What can we do with you? And that's the art of it. That's the art of pro wrestling is finding guys, finding those diamonds in the rough. But yeah, I can't say there's no one there if, in the last, 5 months, AEW's found a bunch of those guys. It's like, okay, where did Wardlow come from? How did he come out of nowhere? Like, what are we doing?
There's a million examples. Do you really think that just North Florida and Georgia just happens to be a fuck? No.
Yeah, QT Marshall is the best wrestling trainer in the world. No, you're just making the most out of what he's got there, Yeah,
you could go to any region of the company, and if AEW just happened to set up shop in Chicago, they'd find guys. If they came to Texas, they find guys. If they came to Missouri, wherever, they're out there. We just need the high-profile places to showcase that. And that doesn't mean that I think that fucking the Alley Cats shouldn't get booked anymore. There should be places for all of this stuff. And there should be promotions that fill all of these niches and fill all of these places in the scene. Credit on all of those people for getting over and getting booked everywhere. But that's all that's getting booked in the high-profile places. And they're doing a disservice to all these guys that they're just throwing in scrambles. I mean, I talked about a couple weeks ago. Blake Christian works scrambles every weekend, and he just looks like a flippy dude jerk. And then he goes to New Japan Strong, and he looks a million times better than he ever looks on any of these other shows. Why? He has structure and direction. And they give him a role in the match. You're in a 6-man tag. He might not be featured in those 6-man tags every time, but he has his role. Maybe he's the guy they're putting the heat on, or maybe he's the guy that does the big dive, or maybe he's the guy that gets the hot tag, whatever. And that's not happening on the indies. That's what I mean when I talk about development. And a guy like Blake Christian will go to New Japan and work 6 different 6-man tags for Strong and have a different role in each one of them and learn and develop. And that's what the scene needs, and we're not getting it. So I really hope, I don't know how I'm coming across, and I'm going to listen back to this later, nervous, to be honest, because I'm trying to make nuanced points without burying people, but it's impossible not to come across that way. And I really hope people don't come at it. And look, I know how it's going to be taken, but I'm really hoping that people understand. I'm not trying to throw Game Changer or BLP Mikey.
Yeah, or telling them to change the way that they do their business. We're just saying
Drew under the bus. I'm none of that. Yeah. They're filling those niches. We need someone to fill the other ones now, because they're not interested in doing it. And Drew is to some extent when he has his show. We'll see. Who am I to tell Game Changer to change? They're doing everything right. They're fucking killing it. And Gage and RSP is going to draw a monster house when COVID's over at the next WrestleMania weekend. I mean, that story's over like a motherfucker with their fans. They're telling one story and it's money. Dude, you're obviously good at this. Tell some more. You know what I mean? It's like, this story's not over with me. Ricky Shane Page can go hit the bricks as far as I'm concerned. But with that fan base, it's over like a motherfucker.
But it speaks to my point of, you have a guy that, I mean, I don't think he's really good at anything, Ricky Shane Page, but what they're doing is they're saying, good, that's what we're going to do with you. They took a guy and they said, okay, what do you do well? Well, people think I fucking suck. Perfect. Great. That's our story. Let's go with it. And it's a great story. And people are bloodthirsty for this guy. And that's what
they want Gage to murder this.
And that's what it used to be about. That's what
Yes.
That's what wrestling is about. Is okay. Who do we have? It's not always about acquiring the best talent. It's about the talent you have on hand at the time. And then you go, okay, what do you do? What do you do well? What can we fix? What can we change? What can we accentuate? What can we hide? All that sort of. That's the art of it. And Game Changers is doing an incredible job with Ricky Shane Page. Because he's gone through all these different gimmicks, all these different years, 20 years on the indies and bullshit, all this, and they've tapped into the best thing. Is like, look, people think you fucking suck and that you're garbage, so let's have you cheat and everybody will fucking hate you and they'll want you dead. And it's great. It's good. It's entertaining as fuck. It's the best part of GCW. It's Ricky Shane. I don't skip Ricky Shane Page matches anymore. Because it's interesting. Because the crowd goes fucking. I know.
Speak for yourself, but it's.
I get it, but like the crowd wakes up. It's a different noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
He comes out and it's a different tenor. It's a different noise. It feels different. It's like that's the art of it. That's where it's fun. But I guess people don't want to do that anymore. It's a lot of work. I get it, but that's the stuff. That's a little minutia that I would absolutely love. Like I never want to be in charge of wrestling a booking or booking a wrestling company ever. But if I did, like, that's the little shit that I would love. I'd love to sit in a room with you and just argue about, like, how a guy should be pushed and what this guy should do for the next 3 months or whatever. I would love that shit. But some guys, I don't know, they don't want that. So I get it. It's fine. But I just wish there were more people that wanted to do the nuts and bolts booking.
I just want some promotions at the highest level of the indies to fill that gap. And unfortunately, to get to that point, I had to demonstrate that no one is filling that gap.
Right.
And I have enough heat with most of those people where it's like, it's whatever. But I really hope people understand I'm not telling them to change and I'm not telling them what they're doing is wrong. I mean, Game Changer has a formula and it works. They got their big story they're building to, and Gage is a fucking icon, and Janela does his thing and has his super matches with his guys, and they bring in all the top guys and get them exposure, and it's the place to be, to get exposure. But man, I just wish there were other places to fill other holes in indie, and we don't have that. And that's why overall, I think indie wrestling as a whole is the least interesting it's been in 20 years. Since the indie explosion has, happened in, around 2002 or whatever. And I'll even say Chikara for a while too was a well-booked promotion, whether you were into it or not. And it's like, that's another example of a promotion that's, at minimum at hiatus. And I'm not getting into the quack shit right now. That's for another day. But it's like, when you had Chikara and you had Gabe going strong, you had AEW flying on all cylinders. And it's like, you had places that were, doing that sort of, were actually booking. And then you had your all-star show out in California. And then you had sort of your comedy places that did more comedy, or it's just, now we just seem to have one type at the top level. And that's why indie wrestling has never been less interesting. And, it just, and yet super indies, no, you don't have super indies anymore because, well, I don't know. I feel like we're repeating the same points, but that's all that's a conversation I've been meaning to have, which is sort of a byproduct of Gabe Sapolsky cashing in his chips. And, it's, he's got his job, and with WWE, he's wanted it for a long time, and, good for him. And, I just wish someone would step up and fill the hole.
Alrighty, let's go. We got a few more topics to get to, so let's get these pretty quick. We got about 15 so minutes left in the show, so we'll do these pretty quick. United Wrestling Network, cooperative group, professional wrestling promotions. NWA is involved. A few other promotions are involved. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. A few other guys. West Coast Pro, I believe, is involved in this too. We mentioned them a few weeks ago. They are doing weekly pay-per-views. That's the business model, is weekly pay-per-views, starting at $7.99 on Fight. It's coming up Tuesday, September 15th. Here is the card, Joe. For $7.99 on Fight TV, you have NWA champion Nick Aldis versus Mike Bennett. Mike the Miracle Man Bennett, or Miracle the Mike Man Bennett, or whatever the fuck Pope called him that one time. You have West Coast Pro champion Alexander Hammerstone versus EJ Sparks. You have UWN TV champion Dan Joseph versus Levi Shapiro. Camille versus Heather Monroe. Will Allday versus Jordan Clearwater. Chris Dickinson versus Dick Mayer. It's the real name, apparently, Dick Mayer. And then I think this is an error. I can't believe this is a real match, but I believe it is the Tribe, the Hawaiian Lion, and the Navajo Warrior versus the Wolf Zaddies. Oh, is it the Tribe is the Hawaiian Lion and the Navajo Warrior, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then the Wolf Zaddies are Bad Boy Tito and Che Cabrera. Or Chi Cabrera, Cabrera, I think, believe is the name. So,
Bad Dude Tito.
Oh, Bad Dude. What did I say?
Bad Boy Tito.
I'm sorry.
Bad Dude Tito is a legend behind the paywall on the old TV reviews when I was doing Championship Wrestling.
Yes, I do remember Bad Dude Tito, yeah.
Okay, look, this is a lot of West Coast guys mixed in with all this on top. The UWN thing, we talked about it. United Wrestling Network, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Championship Wrestling from Arizona, I believe, in the NWA. They're going to give this a go. There's just not enough star power on these shows. I think people are going to be taken aback at some of the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood sort of 80-ish talent that they're going to see on some of these shows, including this one. Because I watched this show from time to time, as you know, reviewed it for a year. And look, these are going to fail because there's just not enough star power. Did you watch any of the new 10 Pounds of Gold stuff?
I did not jump into it yet.
The post Lagana stuff. Then I won't talk about it. I'll let you go watch it. And then maybe we could do it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it next week. Yeah.
So we could talk about some of maybe changes or, things. We can get into that. But look, there's some talented people on this show, and it kind of speaks to the point we were making earlier where there is talent out there. There's also some cringy guys on this show. There's also some people I'm not familiar with at all. And Chris Dickinson is a great example of a guy. Rich, why isn't he in the top program in 19 different indies right now?
I don't know.
But he's just out there, they put him in there and he has a match with Priscilla Kelly, which is just why would anyone want to, it's like, or, it's like, why isn't he in the top line main event? Why isn't he the top guy in every indie doing 4 different intricate storylines at once? And this is what I'm talking about. Instead, he's just this great wrestler meandering around having pointless matches everywhere he goes. And that's what's kind of frustrating, just kind of to expand on the last topic. But, I don't see these things being a success. They're being held midweek. Not a ton of star power.
Tuesday, too. Like, who honestly on Tuesday goes, you know what I want? Some pro wrestling in my life. Because, tomorrow I got AEW and NXT, and I just had Raw, and I just had all this. And you know what I need on my Tuesday? More wrestling. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pay $8 for that right to watch wrestling. It's just...
With a Nick Aldis title match and a bunch of people I've never heard of. I mean, the answer, Rich, is nobody. So, I don't know how long these are going to last. Probably however many they have in the can. I'm assuming they taped a bunch of them. Probably out of that same little building New Japan's running, if I'd have to guess. But, I'm not optimistic about these at all. But we will cover it because we've covered the NWA from day one. And we will continue to cover the NWA and with our final breaths. How about that for commitment?
Yep.
But not optimistic about these at all. It has no buzz, none whatsoever. Not even out of the NWA. I mean, I'm not hearing a ton of buzz outside of the 10 Pounds of Gold they put out. And, those aren't getting the attention that they used to. It's tricky. If NWA Power was going on, I'm sure they'd be promoting this. But there's no NWA Power right now. So, and, circling back to the last talk we had, I mean, NWA Power was something a little different for talent to do. Rich, is Ricky Starks in AWA right now without NWA Power?
Oh, God, no. God, no.
And it's like, that's a perfect example of talent development, and, exposure too, because there's no denying these wrestlers are getting exposure in these places.
Yeah. Well, honestly, one of the things, and you brought it up with Chris Dickinson, one of the things that I loved about when I first kind of discovered the indies and bounced around and watched a bunch of different indies, watched Ring of Honor and ECWA, ECWA and all these other companies that were bouncing all around. And the thing that I love the most is that, a guy would be one thing in one company and then something completely different in another company. Like, just watching Bryan Danielson in one company versus another was like, oh, that's really cool. He's like completely different. Like CM Punk, what he was in, IWA Mid-South was not what he was in Ring of Honor. He was different. He was working different stories. He had different feuds. So it was fun to kind of watch the same guys working different ways in different companies. Like, that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. Guys are just dudes now. Chris Dickinson comes out with a backwards hat and kicks people's asses. That's what he does at all the 19 companies he works for.
Yeah.
And he's great. Like, I love him, but like, No company is like, hey, you know what? Let's do
Rich,
this with
it's not
you.
on him. They're not asking.
No,
him.
I'm not saying it's on him, but I'm just finding it funny that like, yeah, it speaks to it. Like, and you know this, and anybody that watched the Indies in those first periods was like, yeah, guys came and they may have looked kind of the same because they couldn't afford a bunch of different gear, but their stories were very different. The way they was very different, company by company. Guys are just guys now, and then NWA did offer that a little bit different. Is that everybody felt like, yeah, they were kind of maybe the best versions of things they had done on the Indies or whatever, but everybody kind of had their own little character and their own little niche. And Eddie Kingston on NWA was not the same Eddie Kingston that I watch, on AAW or whatever. It was different.
No, he was in wrestling. He was in that I'm talking about the unit in AAW.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And he had different, babyface someplace, heel somewhere else. And the thing about NWA Power, you got to go out there in front of a live audience and cut promos. Where else are you being asked to do that at that level? And that undoubtedly, I mean, Ricky Stark's always a good promo guy, but he'll tell you that undoubtedly helped him. A guy like Zicky Dice getting, and look, NWA uses plenty of national names too, and guys who have been on TV and all that. But it's a definite boon to the underneath people and the indie people that they bring in to work and working different styles of matches, those short, old school territory style matches that they were being asked to work as well, which is something different than you're being asked to do everywhere else, which is important in development, right? You're not going out there. You're not getting 22 minutes to do all your shit. You've got 4 minutes, and this is the story I want told.
Well, yeah, and then different companies having different house styles, too. Okay, we're more of a working company. We're more of a deathmatch company. We're more of a wrestling, grappling company. We're more of this, or we're more story-heavy, or we're more hardcore. Like, whatever. You could go to, and that's what I think. IWA Mid-South and Ring of Honor were not the same companies on any level whatsoever. CZW wasn't the same. A lot of the ROH guys worked CZW, but they worked a completely different style in CZW than they did Ring of Honor. Or they went to Chikara, and they worked a completely different style. That sort of stuff is just... Yeah, there's no difference. Guys come and they just do the style. They just do their style. They do their match, and that's it. Because everything's kind of morphed into one giant blob.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know what that has to do with UWN, but
what else are we going to talk? What else are you going to say about UWN?
I really don't think these shows are going to do well, though. I have no...
God, no. $8 to watch Nick Aldis and Mike Bennett. I'm sorry.
I'll see on Tuesday if people are talking about it, but I doubt they will be. And we got a promo code for that, or...
Yeah, we can get you one.
Yeah, maybe
we don't have a promo code, but we have a link. I'll put the link in the description if people want to do that. But I can get you.
No, I mean I'm having a production.
You're trying. Oh, I see. You're trying to wet the whistle a little bit. Yeah, I can get
have
you.
a promo code.
Yes,
okay.
I can get one for you.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it then. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of promo codes, RevPro UK Epic Encounter Night 2 also streaming on Fight. This one looks pretty interesting as well. We'll talk about the kind of the main matches or the two matches that really stand out to me that I want to check out. And I think I probably, everybody's going to kind of be the same with me. Really kind of three matches, I'd say. Michael Oku, Ricky Knight Jr., that's going to be your main event. Undisputed British and Speed King Championship Unification match. I'm really looking forward to that one. Will Ospreay versus Callum Newman, he's prospected. Definitely keep an eye on.
Did you finally watch that match?
Yes. Yeah, he was great. He was so good.
God, that guy's good. And he's like 17 or something.
Yeah, that was an eye-opener where you're like, okay. And Will, you could tell Will got his eyes on him too and was like, yes, here we go. So Will definitely is going to try to lose to this guy, but hopefully they said, Will, you can't lose to Callum Newman. But
well, he's allegedly his protege. I don't know if that's a RevPro storyline or if he's legitimately like under his wing.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know enough about the scene. I'm sure maybe someone in the chat can let us know. Definitely after the show airs to everyone, someone will let us know what the deal is there. But the storyline in the company is Callum Newman is Will Ospreay's protege. And now listen, RevPro's doing exactly what we were just asking.
I know. Night 1 to night 2 is all story progression.
Yes. From the show 3 weeks ago to the show coming up this weekend. This is my favorite indie right now. Because they're doing all of these things that no one else is doing. They're booking show to show. And look, I liked RevPro before, so that helps. But I'm talking since the restart. Their first show was so good that I'm now in. I'm in until they have a bunch of bad ones now. Because they told a bunch of stories, and they've all led to what we're getting on this show. And Will Ospreay, Callum Newman is one of them. And Callum Newman, look, now that I can't come on here and talk about Ben Carter all the time because the secret's out, and he's probably going to be signed any day now by somebody, and I can't sound like a genius putting him over, I'm now hitching my ride to this guy because he's incredible. And he's 17, and he's better at that stage than a lot of guys who are great now were at that stage. So the upside for Newman is almost unlimited.
So yeah, that looks awesome. Even the women's tag, the semi-main, I'm pretty interested because it tells a good story based off night one. If you watch night one, a lot of stuff that happens in like I said, in night two, it builds off of it. But Giselle Shaw, Aaliyah James versus Jamie Hayter and Bea Priestley sounds pretty awesome. And they did a good job of building that up too. So I'm excited to even watch that match too, because I have a story reason. I have reason to care about a match, even if I don't really care about the participants, even if I don't really, they give you a reason to care, Joe. Pro wrestling, booking. It's amazing.
Well booked. It's well booked. They set this match up after they shot an angle after the main event of the last show. So now
I want to see how it finishes. I want to see the conclusion. It's weird. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they've done a good job.
Anything else on the rest of the card you wanted to touch on real quick?
Well, the Oku RKJ match, I mean, that's interesting because RKJ just scored that big pinfall over Will Ospreay on the previous show.
Right.
So now they're doing this unification match, and I'm interested how the booking goes. I mean, do you continue the Rocket Pack with RKJ? Is he a little overconfident? He was very overconfident in the post-match. And, they had Fletcher who was like, oh, calm down, little guy. I'm next in line here for Ospreay.
Right.
And Kyle Fletcher's not on this show, but, I'm sure he took part in more than one of the shows on that very controversial mass taping, that we talked about last time. But so I'm interested how they're going to book that. And then just run down the other matches, and I might give a quick thought or two on.
Yeah, we got Mark Haskins versus JJ Gale.
Okay, so Mark Haskins debuts sort of on this rebooted version, that's interesting right off the bat to see what they do with Haskins.
Then we have Kenneth Halfpenny versus Brennan White.
It's probably contenders. So, all those guys are solid workers.
Yeah. And then Joel Redmond versus Dan Maloney.
And look, Maloney was the guy who impressed. Yeah. He impressed the fuck out of me on Encounters 1. And I really think Maloney has a chance to be a guy who really steps into one of those many open spots on the British scene when everything gets going again, because he has really come into his own. This is a guy who I was never impressed with in WWE UK. And he has just upped his game. I mean, his look, his work, it's people get better sometimes.
Yeah, he'll be a star in the scene once it's all done, and that's half attrition because everybody else is canceled, and it's also because I think he's worked his ass off too. So it's a little bit of A, a little bit of B. So
undoubtedly has earned it. And Joel Redmond's obviously a solid pro wrestler who I'm sure most people are familiar with. Yeah. But it's like so this is a good looking show. And we got a promo code for that, Rich.
We can get you one too. So
all right. So I paid for it last time.
You did. I did. Yeah. To be fair, you were like, I'm going to pay for this. I was like, no, Joe, hold on. I might have a way for you to, But voiceofwrestling.com/fight, by the way, for any of these shows is where you're going to want to go.
That's right.
To order all these.
Right.
voiceofwrestling.com/fight. So,
real quick, our review promo codes coming too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So make those orders. Yeah. Do that. We were going to talk about WWE Labor Day ratings, but we ran out of time and they stink. So that's all you needed to know. So.
Well, there you go. You just did it. They fucking stink.
Labor Day Raw 2019 to 2020 drops are 31% in total viewers, 42% in 18 to 49, and 58 in 18 to 34. So there you go. Bingo. So that's it. That's all you say, because people will say, well, why do you care about total viewers on Raw, but then don't care about total viewers in AEW? Well, I care about total viewers in both, but in WWE, especially with Raw, I think it tells a much larger tale of just like, that's how many people are not watching their show anymore that were watching it last year.
Yeah, and there's stories to be told in the demos as well.
Sure.
Dynamite this week topped an hour of Raw in the 18 to 34 again, and was right on par with the other 2 hours. And and that's big. And Raw continues to slide, and because we know a large chunk of their viewers are the 50 over, Dynamite has really closed the gap on them in the younger demos, and that's the new battle. I mean, I talked about it behind the paywall today. It's not Dynamite versus NXT.
Oh yeah, NXT is in the fucking rear view now.
Long time ago. I mean, it's just, this is about how close can Dynamite get to Raw in those younger demos. It's gonna, they're way off in total viewers. I mean, even this week with Dynamite peaking over 1 million and Raw dropping to 1.7, you're still talking about 700,000 viewers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, it's like, and that's like the best Dynamite has done in ages and the worst that Raw has done in ages. So, but, a lot of that's the over 50. So, yeah, no, the Raw numbers were atrocious, and it wasn't because of the holiday. Because you look year over year, and it was because the show stunk. You can't headline.
Stinks. Yeah, the Thunderdome thing is done. Nobody cares anymore. That's not new or different.
Yeah,
so that shine is gone now already. So
Underground Fight Club doesn't matter anymore because they do this stuff and then continue
they
to
need a
present
new thing.
bad
What's their
shows.
new thing? There's no more things. You got to stop using things, but they're gonna go to another thing, I'm sure. So.
If the shows are still bad, it does not matter, and that's what's happening. And if you do a main event of Dominic versus Buddy Murphy, you're going to do 1.7 million viewers. I mean, I'm not the only one that doesn't give a fuck about Dominic, apparently.
Yeah, you and many other folks. So, all right, that is it for us here on the Voice Wrestling Flagship Podcast. As we said, support our sponsors, MyBookie and Keeps. Also, voicewrestling.com/fight for any of those shows that we talked about on Fight TV. Patreon.com/voicewrestling, $5 tier. Get in now. Champion Carnival, N1, G1. I'm looking at classic G1s on grade 1 on a VOW retro. Deep dives on the way, potentially planned, ready to go, stuff to watch. I mean, we got a lot going on there. Live shows, live Q&As on the $10 tier. A bunch of stuff going on there at patreon.com/voiceswrestling, voiceswrestling.com/patreon. So definitely go there. Voiceswrestling.com, at voiceswrestling, voiceswrestling.com/discord, all that stuff. Do all that. Follow it, listen, chat, do whatever. So anyway, for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. Talk to you guys next time on the Voice Wrestling Flagship Podcast. Take care.